Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. World's Life is Strange focused podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I'm here, and I like Blue Sky better than X.
By the way, as well, that entire introduction of the Lost Records Journal episode is so strange. Like, it's basically me saying, I don't know if I want to be on Blue Sky or not. And then my account, the Player One vs. World account, pops up on there. Then you're like, I was so close to signing up to it, but then I didn't. And then you popped up, and I'm like, what's he doing here? I thought he was going to do it. Then Luke has said, oh, you should sign up to it on the Lost Records Journal podcast comments. He's like, I know you should definitely sign up to it. I'm like, things just like manifested it in such quick fashion. There.
I do.
Like, oh.
Now that I'm on it, I'm like, I like it better than X. It's just a lot cleaner. You know, like even if ads do pop up, I feel like it's vibes. I know. But I feel like they will handle ads better than X does, because X's ads are just a nuisance. They're so weird. They're in the comments, you're scrolling through the comments, and it's just like ad. But like Blue Sky, it's clean, man. For right now, it's clean.
No.
I like it right now.
It's clean. It's just missing something. There's something off about it. I'm searching on it and like scrolling through the feeds. It feels like really old Twitter. It feels like Twitter.
I think that's why I like
beginning.
it, because it's bringing me back. You know.
Yeah, it's like Instagram and like all this. Yeah, when the ads come in and all the things become laced into it, even Twitter, where he does all the ads because it needs the money, because it's like it's just so hard to advertise on that platform and make a profit. Like, considering Elon Musk paid that much money for it, but Jesus, that's a different conversation itself. You could have invested $44 billion into StrangeCast instead, and that would have been a better investment. But who knows?
I would like that.
I'd be out of here long gone.
Yeah, dude, it's like sell it off. Bye bye.
But anyway, we're back.
Yes.
For StrangeCast. If you are new here, as always, we always do ask if you come to the YouTube channel, please drop a subscribe on the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share with your friends, help support the channel, helps keep up to date with the channel. We've crossed about 1,450 subscribers, so we're almost close to 1,500. If you can sign up, it's great. You can keep up to date with all your Life is Strange content, your Lost Records content. Speaking of which, obviously, StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. So we're available on Spotify with the video version, available on Apple Podcasts, we're available on everything. So you can go and follow us there, and you get instant access to your episodes. You can download them as soon as they become available. We've just crossed 10,000 plus plays across all podcast services, which is amazing. So thank you so much for that. About 265 plus followers on Spotify. We have 36 ratings now as well on Spotify, which is amazing, at 4.9 stars, which is really great to see. So thank you so much for the support for that. It always means a lot. And obviously the Lost Records Journal came out last week. Didn't age well, even in some of the other segments. But we'll come on to that later. And obviously, a reminder as well, after this episode comes out, the next one will be the Lost Records Journal at some point, which will obviously be a big focus on the trailer, so do stay tuned for that, if anything. We're recording the 30th of November, just for context, if you're wondering, it was some of the news topics and stuff we'll cover. But Adam, should we kick things off early on here with our first piece?
Yes, kick things on the pitch. Square to the goaltender. Let's go with that, Adam. Let's go with that. So Adam, this came out of nowhere, which was a bit surprising. So we're going to Player One Virtual Twitter account, and it's obviously taking some of the stuff from Life is Strange one, which is that Square Enix confirmed a surprise launch for the Nintendo Switch version of Life is Strange Double Exposure. The digital version launched tomorrow, which we posted on the 18th of November, so it launched the 19th of November. The physical edition is set for release next year into 28th of January 2025. And as you can also see there as well, there's a steelbook available for the Nintendo Switch version, which is interesting. I think the game is on the cartridge as well, and there's a download of X amount of gigabyte to access it, which I saw. I think. Do we know that for sure? Let me just look it up. I'm looking up now while you. Yeah,
I would advise try and look up Life is Strange Double Exposure press assets or something. It usually pulls up the entire thing on there. And then also as well, quickly here as well, Adam, whilst you're talking, I'll pull this up and talk about it. Not seen many reviews of the Switch version. I believe this is done by Engine Software, the Switch port. And not many reviews, but Pocket Tactics did one of the first reviews for it that I've seen. I'm still waiting for Nintendo Life, but not seen that at the time of recording. But as you can see here, Daz Scoopage, I'm going to say, reviewed it, and it was a bit of a damning indictment of the review score, which was a 4 out of 10, which is, ouchy. So as you can see, that's Life is Strange.
Seeing here, by the way, it might be a mistypo, but
Steelbook Pro bonus available. Blah blah blah. The physical edition will include the full game on the 16 gigabyte cart with a T, not a card. So I don't know what that's about. But I'm going to keep looking at it. Yeah, a cart. Yeah, whatever.
That's been interesting. I do wonder if you have actually got this guy as well. Let us know as well. It'll be interesting to see if it's actually a cartridge or not. But Adam, as you can see here, some pretty scathing assessment here for one of the reviews that we've seen. It says Life is Strange Double Exposure twists and distorts the well-loved series into something almost unrecognizable, playing on fantasy nostalgia to tell a half-baked story with terrible graphical performances. It's a pretty scathing review. There's some of the things in here which, like, you know, will like really thingy. There's a picture of Safi, which, I mean, again, it's this. I'm not even doing it for the sake of it. It's just the Switch is not going to be able to hold this.
Yeah, I'm looking at the gameplay footage of this, and I'm just like, yeah, that's definitely a Switch. That's definitely a Switch gameplay. Like that one, particularly the one you just scrolled past. The one with Safi and Max. That was just like faded, and it just it's just not looking great.
No, it's not. There's some scathing remarks in here. There's a big one about Chloe Price in this, which will come in. But I just wanted to read for the outro, which says, like I've said throughout the review, I think Double Exposure could have succeeded as the next chapter of the Life is Strange series had Deck 9 and Square Enix not insisted on dragging Max Caulfield back into the picture. Please just let that woman rest. Some of my criticism might not hit as hard for newer fans of the series, but I still wouldn't recommend playing Double Exposure on Switch. If you must experience it for yourself, try a different platform and wait for a sale. I wish I had a better time with this game, but sometimes you need to leave the past in the past. Which again was a very scathing review. There's a part in here about Chloe which was really interesting actually. I need to kind of pull it up. So yeah, again, it's heavy on Pricefield in terms of like the context, and I think fair enough as well because there's a lot to be said about that entire process. Again, here as well, there's an interesting part here, which is, as a sapphic person, I'm so sick of lesbian couples in video games and other medias never being allowed peace. Life is Strange comics and even Steph's Wavelengths DLC and True Colors solidified a happy ending for Max and Chloe, albeit an undercurrent of trauma bonding and one of the decisions that happiness rips from under us. But it's funny though because this doesn't go that far away from what Abby was telling me about stereotypes and things about people from LGBT plus backgrounds where they have like what was the phrase she called? Was it bury your love or something? I can't remember what it was. Oh no, bury your dad. Oh, what is it now? She's gonna kill me. But yeah.
Also on I'm looking this on Game Rants, and Game Rant also says the physical edition will come in a 16 gigabyte cartridge.
Oh, so it's actually coming in a cartridge.
Yes. So the physical edition will have a physical cartridge, and the full game will be on the cartridge.
Yeah. I mean,
on a 16 gigabyte cartridge. Yeah.
It's something, isn't this? I'm not even doing it to hate on. Like,
we'll
come on to the addressing of.
There's some games that shouldn't have a Switch release, and something that's as graphical, like intensive as Life is Strange. And when I say graphical, I'm not trying to say like it's Call of Duty graphical, but this is like even Call of Duty sometimes. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like this isn't built for Switch, you know?
The earlier iterations are. So it's like Life is Strange 1, Before the Storm 2. They have been ported on Switch and they can work like that. But it's like True Colors was ported on Switch and it didn't look the best because they're using the performance capture. They've elevated it Unreal Engine. They're making it like a top end. These are things that you have to factor in with the Switch, because I remember when we did the interview with Low Birth Games and Olivier came on, who was the director of This Bed We Made, which again I will recommend you should go and definitely play. It's a great indie game. I spoke to Olivier and I said to Olivier, I was like, this game feels great for a Switch. You know, I'd love to have it on a Switch. He's like, have you ever got any considerations for it? And he's like, it's like the Switch. I'm paraphrasing. It's like the Switch is just not powerful enough to run the game in the state is, and it's like. When he says it, I'm like, actually, it makes sense because This Bed We Made would not look nowhere near as good on Switch because of like the limitations of it. It's a Nintendo games. Like the Nintendo games thrive on it. Any third party game struggles to pull off graphical fidelity, and the same with this game as well. Like when people were dogging on it, and I'm like, I'm not going to be that kind of person because I know the Switch's fidelity. I know it's not that strong enough to hold it. Again, it kind of makes me scream and wonder why Square is pushing out as quick to get a Switch version out, and they're using Engine Software to do it. And I think Engine Software is a Dutch developer that's doing it. But it's like,
the game's never going to run as strong as it is. And I've heard people putting their kind of like 2 cents out there where they've experienced some bugs, etc. with this game. But it's just, do you know what this kind of thing is?
Like, we shouldn't expect it to be running these kinds of modern games. Like, right now on a Black Friday sale, I picked up Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the remastered version on the Switch, and it's just kind of like, I bought it for $7, right? And for $7, it is perfectly fine. It is a game from 2010. I go vroom vroom, and it just does what it needs to do. You know what I mean? Like, I went in with expectations, just like, yeah, this is a $7 vroom vroom game. I like num num num, but like, I don't know. Life is Strange is just should not have been ported to the Switch, man. Like, just sort of, especially when the Switch 2 is being rumored to come out. You know, this could have been a Switch 2 launch, but you know, we're at the later end of the Switch, and we're already feeling like the Switch's hardware is just not there, dude. But like, with the Switch 2 just around the corner, man, and Square knows. I bet you anything that Square knows when the Switch is coming out. Like, the Switch 2 is coming out.
They'll have developers kits. They'll have all kinds of things, don't they? All the mega publishers and stuff have like dev kits and stuff. Like, they'll obviously have like some kind of, like, they're not obviously that Square's not a Switch oriented publisher, but it will still have a dev kit because it will be making games that have a capacity move onto Switch. But even again, like with Engine, they kind of like exporting it to someone else to do it. I think Feral Interactive did the Mac ports for BTS and Life is Strange 1. It's just another sad story in this game, and the story of it. We'll kind of come into it because I do want to address some points, because even in itself as well, I've seen it, like the episode's views are going up in StrangeCast and the podcast, and the likes are going up and stuff. But then I've also seen like dislikes on the video, and I see people who really enjoy this game who like probably maybe getting alienated from like the way we're speaking. And I do need to clear up my position on it, because I think people are miscuing how I tweet things and what I'm saying, because it's not reflective of what I'm doing there. I think you're thinking that I'm just dogging on this game and doing whatever else with it, but there's more about the way I'm positioning myself, which is kind of more about lost potential. But we'll kind of come into that conversation later. On the Switch version, this is just another chapter of the train wreck that's happening here in terms of like ill planned moves. And as you said as well, you could think ahead and think, actually, Switch 2 is coming out, and this game could move on Switch 2, and maybe even couple in True Colors as like an incentive to kind of do it. We've
that would be
over
sweet.
True Colors as well.
The remaster remastered for Switch. The Arcadia Bay Collection remaster.
We're getting that. Everything gets a remaster and remake. It's just this game will get a remaster at some point. No one will ask for it, but it'll get a remaster in like a couple of years. But again, the Switch version, I'm just not deeply impressed by it. It's like, you know, and I feel for people who bought it as well. Like, I've seen a couple of tweets and videos. The graphic fidelity is just, it's bad, man. It's bad. Yeah. It's not even like against compared to the console version. The console version looks very nice. It's like it's got quite nice sheen in certain places. So it's just like when you see this, I'm like, oh my god. And then the scathing reviews again, like the reviews.
It looks worse than Hot Pursuit, Need for Speed, vroom vroom.
Yeah, it's just. I'm hoping things, you know, pick up in some capacity for them.
You can only hope for so much, but instead you need to play Need for Speed Hot Pursuit on the Switch, vroom vroom.
Yeah, vroom vroom. Should we vroom vroom into our next segment?
We should vroom vroom.
Yeah. So I again, hopefully, you know, I'm trying to change my tone with this, but it's just a bit of a sad moment, if anything.
Also, so Most Wanted on Switch. I want that. Get me Most Wanted on Switch. Come on now. Anyways, go for it.
Give it to him, folks. Adam. So better news, actually, if anything.
Better news.
Life is Strange Double Exposure has been nominated for 2 awards at the Game Awards. I know we don't take the Game Awards that seriously, but obviously for me,
I take it so seriously. It's right here in America. The BAFTAs are garbage. USA.
No, the BAFTAs are much more prestigious than this dog show. But if anything, Adam, obviously Games for Impact was the obvious one that Double Exposure is going to get nominated for.
That's automatic right there. Yeah. But here's the thing. What is the impact this game is making? You know? What's the impact?
In the comments. Someone's going to pop up in the comments.
The impact is trauma. This game traumatized us, so therefore it impacted us, giving us trauma from playing it.
Well,
trauma.
we'll come on to actually that award in a minute because I don't know if they'll win it either. That has always been a Life is Strange award, and I don't think they will. Some of the games that are up in that category as well.
All right, it's gonna be Adam, you got it.
But before we move on to that as well, obviously the big one was that best performance. Hannah Telle has been nominated. The Game Awards nominations are still open as well. You should go and vote for her. She deserves this as well, no matter what you think about the game. This is Hannah Telle's moment. It was a great moment to see her nominated for an award, which in itself, like she should have been nominated for the game in 2015, which is mad that she never got nominated for the BAFTAs. And I'm just pulling this up as well earlier, Adam, the day before I kind of tweeted something out here, which was that I thought, like, which categories will it be nominated for? And best narrative it missed out on completely, which for me is completely fair because the narrative is a mess in many places. But just for context, here's how the kind of awards have gone in the Game Awards, if anything, which is the first Life is Strange was nominated for 3 awards. It won 1. BTS was nominated once, got no wins. Life is Strange 2 was nominated twice in 2018, once in 2019. It won nothing. And then True Colors won one award, and it was in 3 categories. I think it won that one for Games for Impact. And I think the first Life is Strange won for Games for Impact as well. Gonzalo Martin, I don't know if Gonzalo Martin was nominated for an award there. I know that. I think he was actually.
He was.
Erica and Han were nominated for True Colors, didn't win, unfortunately. And then I think Ashley Birch is in that 2015 one, just off the top of my head. I'm trying to, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm just kind of like, putting that out there. But if in itself, Adam, as well, I'm not surprised it was nominated for Games for Impact and Best Performance. I expected that, if anything. And then also as well, I didn't think it would be nominated for narrative because I think the narrative has shown being quite exposed for what it is, no pun intended. And it's not performed as well as it should have done. But I will genuinely say this as well. I don't think it's going to win anything at the Game Awards. And because it kills me to say that because obviously I want Hannah to win. But have you seen who she's going up against? And it's like
I've seen it. We've discussed this. I know I know we're doing this for podcast drama's sake. Like, do you think? No, we've talked about it off podcast because we're friends outside of this. I know a lot of people
adore her.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, I absolutely am not friends with you. I thought you were going to say that.
Just about, yeah. So I don't acknowledge him until like I'm like, here you go, dog. Get a link. Jump on the
call. No, we talked about this before, and I'm pulling up.
Are you pulling up all the things?
No, well, I'm pulling up many things. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen now. Bang, bang. So let's go over this. All right.
There we go. Awards.
Boom, boom, boom. Wow.
I love you, Hannah. I really do.
So there's Hannah, and I voted for her. Of course, I voted for her. Yeah. But we look at Brianna White, who plays for Aerith on Final Fantasy. Right. We have now Star Wars Outlaws. Nobody liked that performance really. But then you have Silent Hill 2, and then we have Melina Juergens. I might be butchering that name. I'm sorry. Juergens. Melina Juergens, who I've played Samuel.
Won a BAFTA in 20 for Hellblade when she played the original game.
Her performance and her motion capture is amazing, dude. Like, absolutely amazing. Like, I want Hannah Telle to win because, we're big fans of Hannah Telle here on StrangeCast. But I'm telling you right now, I will become violent if Melina Juergens doesn't win. Like, Hannah Telle will be happy, but Melina needs to win.
It's between Melina Juergens and Brianna White for me. Those are the 2 ones. Because I've played Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it's literally the Aerith love letter. It is like her performance of a lifetime. She's already won a Golden Joystick Award for it. She's hot on favorites for me. Melina Juergens as well. If anything as well, for context, guys, if you don't know, the fun fact with Melina Juergens in the first Hellblade, she was Ninja Fury's video editor. So she's not actually an actress to start with. She is obviously an actress now, but she never had big acting experience. Like, she was Ninja Fury's video editor, transitioned into an actress for Hellblade, played Senua, and won a freaking BAFTA for it. And that is like the most unbelievable story you'll ever hear from something. And as Adam said there as well, she's like reprised her role for this really iconic character now. Yeah. Iconic in the sense of in more modern things. And it's just like, I'm kind of like, what, insane. But here's for Games for Impact. Is this Games for Impact? See, Hellblade's in Impact.
There. Yeah, Hellblade's in there again. And then you have Neva, which I've yet to play. I haven't been in the best mind state. I'm fine, everybody. But this game is going to make me absolutely cry, and I don't feel like crying right this very second. So I haven't played it yet. Don't want to cry right now. But there's this. You have Indica, which is like an amazing story. Then you have Tales of Kenzera Zhao, which is actually the developer's interpretation of his culture in Africa. Yeah. Like, he got really emotional over this and really poured his heart and soul into African culture in this game. So there's that. Then you have, again, Senua, you have Neva, you have Indica. I haven't played Closer to the Distance. I haven't played that yet, but these stacked against Double Exposure, which, again, like we've discussed, what's the impact? What is it? Is it trauma? We don't know. Who shot Safi? We don't know. But here we are. Categories. And it better go to Tales of Kenzera. Like, I want to say Tales of Kenzera is going to take this. But I think it's going to be Hellblade.
I don't think it's going to win anything in this. It's too hard. Even Hannah's category is hard, man. Do you want to talk?
Yeah.
I always bring it up, Adam, as well, with Gonzalo winning his BAFTA when he did. That was such a stacked category, if anything. Don't close that page, by the way, as well.
Oh, here I go.
But like, if anything, I'm just kind of like, I just feel for her. If anything, I'll pull up in a second on the video version. I'm just kind of like, I really want her to win. Obviously, I really want Hannah Telle to win. My main days of the week are spent feeding Hannah Telle pro propaganda on Instagram, and then also replying to her mum on other things. By the way, as well, here's one as well for you as well. She replied, I think it's Hannah's mum. Hannah's mum commented on one of our posts on the community tab, and I just responded to say, "Hi, Hannah's mum," which she's adorable as well, because like every time we comment something on Hannah's like Instagram page, her mum likes it. I'm like, you know, just feel like
that's the thing. I don't want people to think that I don't want Hannah to win, because I will be over the moon if Hannah wins. Because I want Hannah. Because all of us, as Double Exposure came out, like collectively as a community base, we're all just like, I'm glad Hannah Telle's back, and that's how everybody felt. I'm glad Hannah Telle's back. They want Hannah Telle as Max, and all the other stuff is kind of under the rug, but we're all here for Hannah Telle. However, when you're going up against Brianna White and Melina Jurgens, it's tough. It gets a little difficult, man. But the fact that she was nominated is an honor. Man. Like, if I get nominated someday for, sound score, I'll be like, dude, I'll take it, man. I was nominated at the Game Awards. Like, how much I grinded, how much I went through. Boom. I got nominated. Same for Hannah Telle. She dropped, being an actress for a long time. Like, she just gave up on it. And now she finally came back, and she's nominated for Game Awards. So I count that as a win, man. Still.
Yeah. It's like I want her to win. I really, really want to win, but it's just like obviously for me, the more prestigious thing will be that she gets nominated for a BAFTA next year, which I think she will.
Yes.
And I think obviously the Game Awards is trash for Jeff Keighley. I don't like him, and then the only reason I'm watching this is to see Hannah Telle turning up in her glowing outfit, and then also Miso Telle to be there accompanying her. As I said, in his little tuxedo outfit, if he has to be there. But honestly, I'm just kind of like it's hard to see this game winning any awards, which is another damning indictment on the game. It doesn't define the game, but again, the legacy that Double Exposure currently has is very hard to kind of see as it's the most divisive entry in the entire franchise for me, even more so than Before the Storm. Before the Storm had its own issues, but Double Exposure is in itself a huge issue. You go on Reddit threads as well. There's a Reddit thread today as we're recording. People are like, how do you feel about this game? And it's just huge disappointment, lost potential. Do you like? Not even
I don't think it's divisive. I think it's just kind of the weakest entry, because I would say True Colors is the most divisive out of all of them. Whereas two? No, because two, I feel like more people loved it than hated it. Right? Like, I think if we're going to go in ratios, I think it was 60-40, right? 60 being they liked it, even 70-30, 70% liked it. True Colors, I feel like it was a 50-50 split between if you loved it or you hated it. This one, Double Exposure, there's not and we were talking about this before we even recorded, because we both remember when True Colors came out, and people were defending this game. I was defending this game. On this very podcast, I was defending this game against my adversary, the British bandit,
Bulldog.
the British bully. But it's like people were defending it. Nobody's really defending double exposure.
There are one or two people I know that.
There's like one or two, sure, but like not in the same level as True Colors. Like people were just like saying like, "Hey, True Colors is this. True Colors is my favorite Life is Strange game." Double exposure, I'm not seeing that same energy. Like I'm not seeing that now. I'm less online than I was in True Colors, but from my inner circle and from what I'm seeing with our community, what's up, community? How you doing? It's a little
it's a minority
energy. Yeah,
it's a minority, or it's getting drowned out by how dismissive people are of the game. Because like even as well, Adam. Like artists are there are not many artists that are drawing it. I've seen one or two like people in the community who are drawing stuff in this game. Not many people are doing it. Even Square have commissioned stuff, and Square do that traditionally anyway. They commission people to do the artwork, but not many people who are actively doing it for the characters and specific ones.
Yeah,
like even people who are doing people who do Max, they're just going back to the old material and stuff like that. And it's interesting. It's like it just proves it. And Adam, let me pull this up for you actually as well. Can you just pull up music as well?
Yes, you can. I will definitely pull up music right here.
Because surprisingly, favorite. Adam, as well, just to feed you into this as well.
Oh yeah, I saw your tweet. That is very, very. We could have had a sixth right here.
Yeah, which I think I want to make this very clear as well, because I think in itself, if anything, obviously one of the redeeming factors of this game is that Tessa Rose Jackson nailed it out the ballpark with Feel for Music on the soundtrack. She should have been nominated, but for anyone who doesn't know and you don't follow me on Twitter, or if you don't want to be on Twitter, if anything, I pointed out that fact that in the Game Awards' history, this is the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards coming up, no Life is Strange game has ever been nominated for soundtrack, music, or score in any way, shape, or form. So Jonathan Morelli from Life is Strange 1 and 2, Daughter for Before the Storm, Angus and Julia Stones for True Colors, and now Tessa Rose Jackson. No Life is Strange composer has ever been nominated in this category, and
that's a shame.
Blows my mind. It blows my mind, because in itself as well, I think Rebirth will win that category because the Rebirth soundtrack was unbelievable. Like
just from Bow Wow, wow.
Yeah, a classic. The Bow Wow Wow memes went on for ages, but it's a classic. It's great. It's done. It's had symphonies and stuff being going on tours and stuff. But that's the strongest. But as Adam has just said there, when you pull the screen up, if you're watching the video version and you can see it, if you're not listening, if you're just listening via whichever podcast service you are, there's literally 5 graphics up there. There's a 6th spot open there, which you could easily have fitted Double Exposure in there, and I think Double Exposure deserved the nomination there, despite
absolutely.
We've been pedantic with the soundtrack where we're like, in the menu screen, it plays like upbeat music when something bad has happened. But ultimately, the soundtrack is still very solid. It delivers on one of the stronger aspects of Double Exposure, and it should have been nominated there. It blows my mind. This is why Jeff Keighley has no credibility with the awards, putting DLCs into Game of the Year and stuff. It's just a complete... Oh, yeah. You can't see it, can you?
There is no results for Banishers.
Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, nothing.
Such a slept-on game, dude. I'm so dog. I am the most upset about that over everything else in this game.
Yeah, but you can vote for your best esports team. Remember, there's a bigger issue. There's a bigger thing here. There's more.
Dude, I'm all about Team Liquid. I'm all about that Liquid, dog.
My favorite one's the content creator of the year, and the only person I know in there is Queso, and that's it. Other than that, I don't know any of these people. Who are these people? Like, you've run out of people to pick.
Any of these, dude. Wait,
Queso is the only person that I know.
I don't know USADA Pecora. I just feel like, I don't know. Typical gamer? I don't know, dude. Queso, I've seen. Queso's the only one that's like, yeah, that's what I mean. I've seen clips of him, but like everyone else, I don't know. I don't. Maybe I have seen them and I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, it should have gone to us.
Maybe one day. Maybe one day. I'm going to have to sit through this freaking show just to see Hannah Telle turn up, do her thing, hopefully win, gets a cigar out, smokes it whilst on the stage with the Game Award in one hand.
Where's Banishers? Where's Banishers?
It's mad. Why are there so many games missing from this list?
And like
there's just
Silent Hill 2, best action adventure, dog, but no Banishers. No Banishers.
It's just a weird thing like that. Silent Hill 2 is a remake. Like, I know I want to do that thing, but it's like a remake. Fine being nominated in that category. It's like if it's in Game of the Year, it's like
even then, would you consider Silent Hill to be an action adventure game?
No,
because you're all about running away. You're running away from your things.
Horror, if anything.
Yeah, but we don't have a horror section. It's just action adventure. So it's in the same realm as Tomb Raider and Star Wars Outlaws and Prince of Persia. But Silent Hill, but Banishers isn't here. Slept on. Like absolutely
I hate
slept
that
on.
award show. I hate that award show so much. It's like when he's like firing off. It's like, and best composer goes to, and best esports goes to, and this person. It's like,
I would be absolutely livid if I worked my ass off to get the nomination, and Jeff Keighley's like, and for best sound score, Adam Evald, and moving on. I'm like, I'm going up on that stage, dog. I'm going up there with my cats. I'm allergic to cats.
Awful.
I'll just pick up a random cat from the street, and I'm just going to go up there.
Awful. Should we go into our next topic and get away from these guys, the Game Awards?
Yeah, let's get out of here.
So Adam, this is one which I was pointing out, and then funnily enough, it was posted on social media. I was like, Rhianna DeVries ain't posted anything about Chloe Price, but now Rhianna DeVries has posted about Chloe Price. So Rhianna was on Instagram and posted, there it says, beyond thrilled to reprise my favorite babe, Chloe Price in Life is Strange Double Exposure. Lost my damn mind when I got the call. Have you played it yet? You should. Double Exposure has been nominated for Games for Impact. Get that guy in Games Go, and Hannah Telle has been nominated for Best Performance. So many congratulations, Hannah. Game Awards, go and check it out. Special appearance from the helmet was Brian Landis Falcons. He played Skeevy Guy in Before the Storm, and now you can see him as Vince Alderman in Double Exposure. Also, thank you to Sky Pirate Carrie for on Twitter for the screen grab. Appreciate us on the Instagram post there. So Rhianna has posted finally on there. Adam as well, just to kind of clarify, because most people don't know, Rhianna does use they and them pronouns, just whilst we talk about Rhianna. I'm thrilled for Rhianna to take the role back on as well. I've had my own kind of like takes on it as well. I said that I don't think a Rhianna DeVries, Hannah Telle, Chloe Max works. If anything, I think there's too many different elements, too many different things here. There's huge systemic issues with the Chloe Price situation in the game as well. I'm happy that Rhianna got a role to reprise here, and obviously has become quite heavily associated with Chloe Price. But it's just, it just feels quite like bittersweet would be a good word, maybe for me, not for Rhianna, to see the way it's kind of mapped out. Considering like leaks and considering all kinds of conversations around it, it just feels like that story needs to be told on screen. If you're going to do it and you had the guts to do it and like break them up, you had to tell that story on screen. It just can't. I don't understand from a narrative perspective anyone who thought we can tell the story off screen and it works. And it might come into our main topic later, but it's like I just don't get it. And I was kind of questioning at first because like Rhianna hasn't posted anything. Rhianna has always posted about Chloe whenever they've reprised that role, but then posted it now, maybe because of spoiler territory, etc. So they might have waited for a while to post it. But yeah, it just feels a bit somber a little bit. It feels like they should have gone with Chloe and then just let Rhianna become the natural successor to Ashley Birch in this role and just like work with it. I think most people would have happily taken a Chloe Price game with Chloe in there in some capacity and Rhianna voicing Chloe rather than Ashley if need be. It feels like a distant memory now of the series, unfortunately.
But Ashley's on to like bigger things, like not just bigger things. I won't say that Life is Strange is below her, but she has a lot on her plate, dude. Like she is a Lego now. Ashley Birch is Lego. Like we are all Lego, but Ashley Birch is Lego.
Is Lego.
Okay. Yeah, she is Lego. Which is wild to me that Ashley Birch is Lego. Horizon's character.
Aloy.
Thank you.
I'm here for you.
I was just thinking Aerith all in my head. I was like, Aerith, like, no, it's I know it begins with A, but like aluminum from Horizon. But the fact that she reprised her role for Lego Aloy, which is insane to me, but it doesn't come back for Chloe Price. That's telling, dude. That's really telling. But yeah, no, it is weird. As you said before, I think it's just more of on Square right now. That just comes down to why they had to do what they had to do. Just saying like, well, involve Chloe in some kind of way. I don't know, dude. Just tell them whatever they want to think. You know, it feels like that. It really feels like Square had some kind of say on Deck 9, saying like, do what you need to do.
Let's move this into the main topic. We'll come back onto it. We'll just move on from this, if anything, but it'll be coming to the main topic because it's worth talking about that. I think you're hitting a lot of the points that I have among many things. So let's leave it for the time being. Should we go into our next piece of news because this is quite interesting?
I guess so. Data. We're going in. Here we go.
So again, on Twitter, from our Twitter page, you can follow us. We're keeping up to date with all the content here. This was Sakana's monthly data revealed that Deck 9's Life is Strange Double Exposure made the US sales charts. So Double Exposure debuted at 18th place in the top 20 selling games between the 6th of October and the 2nd November. So its first week. Did a bit more research here as well. So for additional context, the NDP group, which is the same as Sakana now, previously revealed the top 20 selling games in September 2021. And Deck 9's Life is Strange True Colors debuted at number 10 and set a record for for Square Enix's series. This was NPD analyst Matt Piscatella, that American name.
Matt Piscatella
said that Life is Strange True Colors launched as September's number 10 best-selling game. Life is Strange True Colors generated the highest launch month dollar sales for any Life is Strange title to date, end quote. I don't think this game has sold as well as they expected. I remember hearing that there was an expectation that they thought the game would sell well, and it would be like steady. Obviously, again, don't shoot me if you're going to come after me. It's because they thought the cash cows come back with Max Caulfield.
No, you can shoot me though. I welcome the bullets.
Yeah, but they didn't obviously realize the bigger scheme, the big picture of like leaving someone out and causing a huge issue in that fandom. This game is not going to sell well. The Steam numbers don't look good. Steam's different from different things. Because like even comparing it with the first Life is Strange is hard because the first Life is Strange has been free. It's a cheaper price. True Colors is a better metric to compare it with. Like price wise, it's a little bit different on both those games, but it's a very close metric to do it on. And the Steam numbers don't look good for Double Exposure compared to True Colors. It's obviously not sold as well, especially in the US. The US is obviously big market here as well. You know, you want to get
huge market, more than China.
China, which we're not doing that.
That's why Wukong is nominated for Game of the Year because of the Chinese market. Like it's just so like that. That's what I mean, man. Like I wish we put more of the Chinese market onto like game sales than the US because like they outrank us by a country mile. I don't even know where that like phrase came. I guess USA. I guess.
Well, the population's over 1 billion, isn't it? That's why. Like, you've got 1 billion people in the population. America's what, like 375 million-ish, something like that. It's like
too many. It's too many in America. It's 300 million too many, in my opinion.
No, I don't think the game is sold well. I think they're going to get a really rude awakening here as well. There's been have you seen an email that's been floating around as well online about a potential focus group that's been happening?
Oh,
yeah. And I'm kind of like those, you can stroke your, whatever you need to do to try and get the picture of the franchise, but you need to like see what people are saying, like see the online direction. There's two ways that this changes, Adam. There really is for me. There's two ways that this changes. Either they listen to the fan feedback online and they pivot, which could possibly be a reality. That's a simple way of doing this in the wheels going forward motion already as it is. You can pivot doing that. And secondly, it relies on Deck 9 pushing back. That's ultimately the two things that will change the course of the trajectory of
Deck 9. This is a call to me. You've seen me on this podcast. If you need a guy to push back, I don't know if you can tell, but I love picking fights. I love pushing back. It's part of my my kooky brain that they're calling ADHD. But I love picking fights. So Deck 9, if you're watching this, hire me to be your bodyguard. I'm just saying.
The shutters will be closed straight after that. It'll be like
Square Enix will be like, hey, we need to do that. So you know what? Huh? No. Go home, Square. Goodbye.
If the sales aren't convincing, man, that's not a good entry point at number 18. I'm not even dogging on this game for days, but that's not a good point, especially when you bring back Max Caulfield as well.
Well, like, here's the thing. Here's where I get on with the sales charts. It goes into now. Okay, I've said this before that the average consumer is. And I said like the average consumer is stupid, and then I took it back and I said the average consumer is misinformed. Yeah. I think that kind of disproves my theory that the average consumer is misinformed because they just said, oh, but it has Max, so then we can just pile on whatever garbage we can and we'll get away with it. This is kind of telling right here. Like, yeah, it's 18th out of the 20th. That's fine. But like you're going against Call of Duty. You're going against what else was on that list? I saw Call of Duty first, and I saw a couple others that were pretty.
There were some big hitters. There were some big
hitters.
It was competing with other AAA games, if anything. And Life is Strange Double Exposure is a AAA game before someone tries to come at me. Square Enix is a AAA publisher. Do not try and argue with that. If you try to argue it's AA and then put it next to Lost Records, tell me what's AA and what's not AA. People get this weird interpretation of it. Life is Strange is a AAA game. It doesn't matter about budgets, doesn't matter about prices. When Square Enix is attached to you, you'll know it's like trying to be like, I'm an indie musician, but Square Enix is with me there.
There we go. So Silent Hill 2, Dragon Age the Veilguard. It's even gone under Hogwarts Legacy again. It beat Elden Ring. Good for them.
Hasn't Elden Ring been out for ages?
I know. No, it's only been out for a year. It won Game of the Year last year. But anyways,
that was DLC's nominated as well.
That was DLC. That's another story. But what I want to say is that, like, when I say the average consumer is misinformed, maybe not. Like, this is kind of disproving that because the average consumer is saying, like, yeah, we're happy that Max is back. We're happy that Hannah Telle's back. However, I don't want to buy this game. In fact, a lot of people have reached out to me. By the way, thanks for messaging me and not Adnan. I feel special now. Thank you. Like, I'm married to this podcast. Nobody thinks I matter, but I matter a lot.
You don't tweet. You don't.
I matter even if I don't tweet. I just try to make me feel good. I have low self-esteem. That's a lie. I have amazing self-esteem, but it's kind of telling. Like, a lot of people have messaged me in private DM saying, like, I can't believe this. I can't believe that. I've returned my copy. They kind of like get my opinion on things. Like, why is this the way it is? Yeah, like, average consumers, our community here on StrangeCast. What's up, community? Again, they sniffed it out. You know what I mean? And I think that's why we're not seeing the same energy, like I was saying before, is because they've sniffed it out. Now, being in a top 20 in sales market, that's nothing to sneeze at. But when you have the expectations, like, if me and you designed a game and we're in the top 20 in the sales market, guess what we're doing? Popping over the champagne. But this is Square Enix. This is a AAA publisher, you know? And Square Enix, who was very famous for tweeting out, it was not to our expectations. For the last 20 years, what have we heard from Square? Oh, it hasn't reached our expectations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're 18th and the 20th? Not really our expectations. Okay, yeah. Square. Okay. But it's really telling that the average consumer is more informed than I anticipated.
Well, look what they did, though. 2 weeks early releases. People data mine the game. People find out the ending. You could watch the entire game online, like parts of the game online, because someone got early access to it. Yeah. People saw huge amounts of the game before. Even some of the Steam data, I've seen some of people posting as well. The plateau that happens after the first 2 weeks, where people don't come back to the game, or they've seen what happens online and seen what the reaction is. Why are they going to commit to this game beyond what needs to happen? So it's like, generally pointing at the minute, the data is not good at the minute for me, at least at this point. I don't know what Square is thinking at this point. There has to be some kind of like change at some point.
Well,
like, if you're
thinking, they were thinking the way I was thinking, that the average consumer is misinformed, and if they just put Max up there, we'll make the sales. Just put Max in it. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the fact that Chloe wasn't in it, that's what they missed. You know.
I don't think the feel-good factor is back for the sequel or whatever happens next as well, because it's like, in itself as well, people like, we love seeing Hannah Telle back. You've eliminated that surprise again now because of how the game ends. And it's like the feel-good factor is not going to have the same feeling. I think people will support Hannah Telle irrespective of things, and that's fine, and as you should. But it's not going to be the same kind of thing because people are just going to sit on the fence being like, well, let's see what you do now. And if you don't do it, you're not getting my money. So it's like, yeah, it'll be hard to follow it, but I don't see many data things coming out about this game and kind of being positive for the time being, if anything. Adam, should we go into our next piece of news, if anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to let Deck 9 know that I'm totally serious. I'll be your enforcer against Square.
Well,
go for it.
Yeah. They can get whatever feedback.
Get me on the phone call with Square London. Let's go.
Adam, speaking of Square, this is a big piece as well. This was done by Izzy Jones. Izzy Jones and Metro from the Metro wrote this. Izzy's done great work as well, by the way. You should go and read Izzy's Life is Strange Double Exposure review, and has done this great piece of journalism among many
Izzy is also a big dog. Just want to put that out there now.
So Izzy has posted this article which came up recently, and we were talking about it, and we've posted a couple of things. So this is Square Enix accused of abusing copyright law to silence fan criticism. So the article says there as well, and it's written, the makers of Life is Strange Double Exposure are accused by fans of using legal takedowns to limit discussion and criticism of the game. What does a niche lesbian video game subreddit have to do with the future of freedom of expression on the internet? Quite a lot, as it turns out. I've been looking into concerning allegations that suggest Square Enix has been abusing copyright takedown powers to target and shut down criticism from fans of their new game, Life is Strange Double Exposure. The subreddit Pricefield is a community dedicated to Life is Strange franchise, primarily shipping the lead character of Max with her love interest, Chloe, from the first game. It has 12,000 members, many of whom have engaged critical of the discussion to omit Chloe from Double Exposure. The subreddit is an independent space for Life is Strange fans to talk theories, share fan art, and discuss games, and is wholly unaffiliated from Square Enix. These fans noticed that more and more of their posts and comments were being taken down by Reddit after a third party began issuing copyright violations. In response, and fearing they are at risk to further penalties from Reddit, moderators of subreddit published an open letter to Square Enix stating that they believe someone at the company or developer Deck 9 was quote-unquote willingly removing non-infringing content for reasons other than infringement, end quote. They believe that this is happening because Square Enix is unhappy with not having editorial control over the page. Sorry, this is difficult for me because I only be talking about on. Takedowns on the subreddit, they say, appear to have included text posts containing publicly available information, including discussion of public tweets made by game developers. Many fans of the community are worried that this is targeted and hostile move to shut down fair and reasonable criticism of the game. Ho Hoi, moderator on the Pricefield subreddit, said it's been both deeply saddening and incredibly frustrating to see how Deck 9 and Square Enix have treated us, one of the most enthusiastic and outspoken offshoots of the fandom. Not only are they trying to silence genuine criticism and snuff out the voices of rightfully disgruntled fans, they're also making attempts at intimidating members of the community with DMCA takedowns, notices, and abusing copyright law to control the reach of publicly available information. At the end of the day, we are just a bunch of Life is Strange fans trying to enjoy and celebrate two of the most beloved characters in the franchise, end quote. If a publisher is deciding to using their powers to shut down the public forum discussion, it would set a worrying precedent that companies can simply block and remove conversations between the internet users that they do not like. So I'm just quickly running through here. I'm just going to skip through this because I'm just realizing how much I'm reading. Square actually responded to this here as well. So they said, we spoke to Square Enix about these allegations, and we're providing an official statement in relation to DMCA notices. All steps were taken in accordance with appropriate legal requirements and Reddit's own procedures for reporting intellectual property violations. The process applied to infringing content shared prior to a game's release, including leaks or confidential information due to breach of non-disclosure agreements and data mined content. No DMCA notices were sent regarding any posts outside of these circumstances, end quote. Metro reached out to Reddit and had not heard back at the time of this. So Adam, tippy-toeing among certain things as well, because we are obviously trying not to tread a fine line with this as well.
I'm an expert at tippy-toeing.
Deck 9 hasn't responded or was contacting that piece, just to kind of like, let's clarify that, because obviously our Pricefield subreddit is saying that Deck 9 is part of this as well, and they haven't replied to this. Let's just clarify that they have the right to reply if they should. Adam, this is a bit like, again, another issue with the entire like drama that's happened for like last 6 months or so around Double Exposure, because we talked about, for example, the entire thing about the main Reddit having someone who previously worked at Deck 9 on there, and that wasn't kind of made aware. And even, for example, if you go on the Lost Records subreddit, Don't Nod It is displayed as a moderator, but even that still raises questions, because then you have to ask questions sometimes if they do something like, you know, that people don't see, if they moderate something that is kind of feels like it's a little bit overbearing. Don't Nod hasn't done this. I'm just using an example. Say if publisher A is like positioned itself as a moderator and you can see it and then start removing posts, does that really make it a safe space? Does this, like, you know, can we really have conversations? It sets a really bad, dangerous precedent, this, like, to see this kind of stuff happening as well. And like Square is adamantly saying that we are taking down DMCAing content which is data mined or has been leaked, etc., which, you know, would be what they would kind of do. But it's like, this is coming post-release, if anything. And then also as well, some of the people on subreddit accusing them of removing some of the developer tweets, like, you know, some of the stuff that we've done in graphics and captions and stuff. I find the entire situation really, like, disturbing, because I've been following it for a while. Obviously, Izzy wrote the piece, reached out to Square. She's done incredible work with that. So, you know, all kudos to Izzy for this and getting the statement and stuff. But I've been kind of following it just as on Twitter and just seeing the drama unfold. And I have, like, some really, like, deeply, like, this is my issue with, like, the video game industry. It's like when you look at content, for example, this is a general statement, this is not referring to any publisher. When they send out like PR review codes, and they send out review codes to, like, content creators and press kits and all this stuff, and then they get glittering reviews and endorsements and stuff. How can you not say you're not biased about someone sending you that kind of stuff? If I came on here, my Lost Records t-shirt and my, like, vinyl in my hand, I'm holding it over my head, how can I tell you that I'm not giving you a biased opinion on it? Instead, my approach would be, I'd go and buy the game at launch, then I'd give you my honest opinion because I'm paying my own money for it, and then be like, actually, here's an unbiased, unfiltered opinion of what I actually think of the game. Yeah. This is just scary, man. The entire subreddit controversy. I'm just like, I'm very scared of, like, seeing a publisher wield powers in the way that it is at the minute, even if it is in the sense of DMCAs.
So, as the tippy toe expert around here in this podcast, which you talk about, man, these subreddits not a safe space. Let me tell you something. I don't feel like this podcast is a safe space for me. I just want to put that out there, that, you know, my host here, I'm just merely the co-host. I don't feel right safe in this space. But as someone who likes to tippy toe around topics, let me ask you something. Japan's copyright laws, are they the same as America's?
No, well, UK copyright laws are different, and same with US copyright laws. I mean, Reddit's a bit more...
Every country's copyright laws are different. And what location is Japan's well, I already gave away the answer there. What location is Square in? They're in Japan. What's another Japanese company that loves to send DMCAs?
Nintendo.
Like, what I'm trying to get at here is everybody's, like, saying, like, oh man, they're going after us. They're doing this. I just wanted to not even, like, say, like, oh well, Square has the right to, or Nintendo has the right to. I'm just saying right now, if you look at the copyright laws in Japan in comparison to the US, which a lot of these bases are in the US, I'm going to tell you right now, like, our copyright laws in the US are just child's play compared to Japan. Like, that's why this whole Power World thing is, like, coming into law course, because they take their copyright laws way seriously. And because Pocket, I forget the company name that makes Power World. It's like Pocket Pal or something like that. Yeah, but, like, that company is also located in Japan. So, like, that court case is going to go way, way beyond what we can imagine. But I'm just trying to say here is that, like, I wouldn't be so up in arms, like, if I was the US, because I would just look at it like they're a Japanese company. Japan views copyright differently, and that's why they're doing this. You know, they can do whatever they want because it's their copyright. Now, would it come into difference if this was still held under Don't Nod? That's different. Like, if Don't Nod was doing this, I would be like, well, hang on. But Japan is much more protective of their copyrights, like, no matter what. So I don't know how France's copyright laws are, but I know for a fact that Japan's is pretty hefty.
Yeah, let's just say Donut hasn't done anything as well. Donut has not done anything. That was just an example as well. That's just like kind of putting in context. That's in the scheme of obviously Donut being a moderator on the Lost Records subreddit, for example. And then wielding that kind of power. It's a fine line because, like, for example, and I had this conversation with Abby when I did about the tweets and stuff. Like, I've always said, like, you put your public information out there, it's on tweets, like, you know, that you can't DMCA take down those. And even Square said in its statement has kind of claimed that it hasn't done it on those statements. That's why, for example, all our pages are unaffected. Like, we have an Instagram, we have a Twitter, and anything else, nothing has been said about them because you can't DMCA them because that is public information. Nothing has been misconstrued and nothing has been said differently. It's being presented as it is. But ultimately, like, obviously it makes sense for them, makes sense in the scheme of why Square would do it on leaked content or data mine content. In itself, what doesn't make sense to me a little bit is the fact that you're doing it post game, long time afterwards, including probably Reddit pages which have, you know, gone further back. But it does, for me, and not using Square as an example here, just in general consensus, when you see this, it does come across as intimidation tactics for a big publisher developer to kind of exert power over the smaller people and make them feel quite thingy. Again, I'm using this as a general.
But again, Nintendo does the same thing, dude. Like, they do this same thing.
Yeah, but it's like you want to protect your copyright, though, don't you? For at least with Nintendo.
But like, why are we saying Nintendo is just like, well, but you want to protect your copyright? But when we talk about Square, who we're the biggest Square haters on the land.
I love Square.
You love Square? You want that free jacket? I want that free jacket.
I want that free
jacket. Can I get a free jacket? Bro, I'll wear that jacket, dude. I'll wear it. I'll be a Square level. I'm just saying that, like, there's going to come a time in this podcast where I'll be like, no, Adnan, we talk about Square like they're the bad guys here, but maybe they're not. Maybe they send us nice little packages.
I'm wearing my handcuffs and I'm going to be, like, taken down. I've already sent Abby this message as well. I said to her, I was like, carry my legacy on. So when I'm not here and Abby's on this part of the video with Adam, they're carrying on the legacy. I'm going to be listening from prison, be like, you two sold me out. But I'm glad that you're keeping the podcast going. Yay.
But I'm just saying, it's like, in the same light that Nintendo does the exact same thing, but we're saying for Nintendo, like, well, you got to protect it. But Square does it. And we're just like, man, they're just intimidating the smaller people. It's the same thing, but it's just, we're in the context of Square Enix, like, reporters, essentially, you know. But Nintendo, we're looking at it as the outside in.
Yeah, it's a fine. I didn't say Square was intimidating them, by the way. So I said a publisher intimidating them.
They're scaring me, dog. I'm shaking.
Well, you can get.
I shake regardless because of my anxiety, but you know.
I'm gonna get a Wish version of you, someone to like replace you when you go. I'm like, right, I'm gonna get
not like Temu. You're gonna get me on Wish instead of Temu. How insulting!
I've got to go for a Wish at this point. No, but you're fair though. You're fair because there are principles with the Nintendo. Like, if Nintendo does it, Square gets criticized, and that's why I've intentionally omitted like Deck 9 from this conversation, because Deck 9 is not going to be doing this in the way that it is.
But
like,
that's the thing. Deck 9 is a US based company,
and they're a developer. They're a contractor. Yeah. They don't have any control over the marketing, over DMCAs.
They don't have the IP, you know.
No, that is ultimately what it comes down to. It's the IP. They own the IP. Square. They'll exert what they feel is right in their best interest to tackle this issue, including what is on the subreddit as well. I also understand why the subreddit feels the way that it does because of how the marketing was done for the game, how the situation has unfolded with Chloe Price, and it feels like they're trying to make a vocal point about the Chloe Price situation, yet it feels like their voice is being shut down as they're claiming it's going to be. It is scary though for me, because it's like, I don't like the way that the video game industry is skewed in terms of the big powers that publishers have gained and the way they've controlled things and the way they control narratives, giving out free codes to like YouTubers and content creators, getting people to review things, getting people to kind of like give glowing endorsements of things and then misleading people.
I think it's just more public now, you know, because like the video game industry has always been like favoritism and like way they handle IPs and all that. Look at the Tony Hawk series. You know, the Tony Hawk series was kind of like bastardized once Activision really got their claws into it. But I guarantee you anything, if the Tony Hawk series happened in this time frame, we would see the exact same thing. But like what I'm trying to say is that it's a lot more public now, and I think that's why we're so annoyed, because we see it, like we physically see it on our favorite YouTubers, our favorite podcasters. it's just a lot more visible than it was back in the day.
Yeah.
I even talked about Need for Speed earlier, like the Need for Speed franchise with EA. Like I wouldn't say they bastardized it in the same way that Tony Hawk did, but like that yearly release of just Need for Speed this, Need for Speed that some things were hits and some things were like, it was fine.
Yeah.
I just think that we're just seeing it in a much more visible way.
Yeah. You have to be. Like, I think about it every time when we post stuff. It's like I kind of have to sit there thinking, like, is this going to get us in trouble? Can we do this? Like, we didn't really cover some of the anonymous Deck 9 developers who were posting on Reddit as they claimed they were, and some tried to prove with that as well.
Yeah,
but it's like you didn't pull it up on the screen and stuff because there's just certain like legality issues. Those are under NDAs and stuff. It's like I can't put myself in a position where it's like, I'm putting myself out there. It's like it's going to cause issues for us as a general thing. And I think when you said it, it's like it feels quite like as it does. It's probably because we're at the heart of it as well, because we are kind of following it. We're in a fold, and it feels like if it started kind of entrenching on us, we'd kind of be a bit like, it's like, are you shutting down our conversations as well because we're doing stuff like this? It's like I get where the Pricefield subreddit comes across, because it's like they do need to talk about something which is a big issue inherently with the game. Yeah. It's just a very fine line with walking here on both sides, like both the subreddit and also with Square. And as you said, I think it does allude to the fact that I know Square has like Japanese, it has a London base and European base, but it
has a London base, but the headquarters is Japan.
Yeah,
and we talk about that. You talk about that it's a fine line, but Japan, it's not a fine line. Like that's the thing. In the UK and the US, talking about copyright laws and what we're seeing right now, it is a fine line. Japan, no, very broad line, huge line. Like you cross it. You know what I mean?
No, but it's the truth though. It's always when journalists like even tweet about it's like, oh, Nintendo. It's like, oh, I would not be leaking that. It's like, I agree. It's like I would not be leaking that either. It's like, as you said, they will come after you in a different way and approach with it. And it's like Reddit's going to have to remove things because like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook is going to be a completely different animal. It's very hard to take down and stuff like that. But it's like with specifically Reddit, they can go after you with that. And it's like, it's a when I mean fine line, it's like I understand where they're coming from, the Pricefield subreddit, but then I also understand what you're coming from, where it's a Japanese publisher and it's going to go after in the sense that if it feels like it's in the right way, it's like it's saying DMCA content, data mine. It's just the timing doesn't feel right because obviously it's in the aftermath of the controversy, the yada yada yada. It's like that's why I think it kind of raises more alarming bells in your head. And I think that's the big issue that I had as well. Was I think it's like, oh, actually, are we trying to shut down conversations after the games come out and we're trying to do this? But as they've claimed, they're not saying that. They're saying that we've just taken down the content we feel is like infringing on our intellectual property. It's a very hard debate to kind of like navigate, because it's like I can't sit there and be like, well, this is not. There's just so many from both sides as well. It's like you have to genuinely, it's one thing.
I have to understand copyright laws to a degree. It's not just like, man, this isn't fair. Like you have to understand the laws of different countries. I mean, like, and just like the attitudes of IPs. I definitely recommend if you haven't already reading Console Wars, and it's about the creator, like the guy who took over Sega US base, and he had to like kind of bridge the gap between the US and the Japanese market, and just how they wanted to protect their IPs. It's a battle, and I think the discussion we need to have here is does come down to copyright laws. Like that's what it comes down to, and the understanding of it, not just, oh man, that's whack. It's laws. It's just the laws. That's all they are.
Yeah, no, it's a very like that's why I didn't. This is why when the leaks were happening about Max Caulfield return, this is, for example, why do you think StrangeCast had a very like blackout period where we didn't cover any spoilers and we didn't do anything else? Like we knew that Max Caulfield will return appeared, but we didn't cover it on the podcast, and I didn't show it anywhere because it's like we are not getting caught into that. It's like people have realized what happens when you start tweeting things on Twitter, and it's like you're engaging in the kind of like, that's why I was very much like sat on the fence. Again, my famous stance to sit on the fence, because like I'm not getting myself dragged into this because I know.
Well, like we see the comments all the time. It's like, you guys seem to know things. I'm like, no, we don't. No, we don't. legally. No, we don't.
No, you have to be very careful. That's it. You have to be very, very careful. And it's like,
and people aren't slick online. Like, that's the problem. Is like they're not slick. You gotta be slick online, but you ain't. You no oil on you. You are not slick.
Yeah, you have to be. You have to be. There's a big thing. I think this raises a big question about Reddit and moderation and stuff. Even that Life is Strange Reddit page conversation we're having. It was an interesting conversation to have around that entire fiasco, because it was like there's so much more to this than meets the eye. It's like there's so many different things that we didn't even necessarily cover as well, like responses and stuff. And it's just, I'm kind of like a little bit. Again, this is you could literally in the last 6 months of this entire game and the marketing stuff, you could write a book on it. That's how much like stuff has happened, which is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, should we move on to our next topic?
Yeah, before we get in trouble.
Okay, we're going to quick fire some news topics as well, just to keep you in loop with things as well before we move into our main topic. Famitsu, Adam,
yes,
one of the famous Japanese magazines, has reviewed Double Exposure as well. They gave it a 32 out of 40. Their rating system is, I can't remember how their rating system works. It's like, I think multiple people review it or something.
Yeah, there's 4 people that review it, and like they all score it out of 10, and they all have different grade. So then it gets like out of 40. So that means that all of them gave it an 8 or something like that.
Variation, give or take.
Yeah, variation. But it all comes down to a 32 collective score from the 4 reviewers.
Yeah. So you got a collective score, which in itself as well doesn't fare well compared to the other entries, because as you can see, it's the second lowest in the franchise. So obviously Life is Strange got 34.
Yeah,
Life is Strange
a
2
lot
got
before
36.
the storm hate out here. Like I'm not appreciating it,
Yeah.
It was nominated once and not win anything. Now we're seeing that it's the lowest Famitsu score. Famitsu. that one. But I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate the hate for Before the Storm. But once again, the 2 of the Deck 9 Life is Strange games are rated the lowest. Whereas True Colors is True Colors is rated
higher than the first Life is Strange.
That is wild.
Life is Strange 2 is at the top, which is even more surprising. I think people will get quite caught up by that as well.
Yeah.
Not what's expected, but yeah, that's quite the revealing thing, though. But yeah, I thought we'd include that into this segment, if anything, and just add a couple of these as well. And sorry if you heard a bit of noise before. That's my cat, which is in itself a tragic story. As you can see here as well, Life is Strange 2 has been nominated for 2 awards at the GAF Con Awards, which is more for accessibility, which I think it has got good accessibility, AA Excellence, and Best Mental Health Accessibility. There's a lot of accessibility in this game, which I think kudos to the people who are working on the accessibilities of the game, because it does show. And then Adam as well, one quick thing as well before we wrap up and move into our main topic, which is in itself a big one as well. As you can see here as well, Don't Nod is again fighting his battles with the STJV, which has confirmed that a strike happened the 29th of November. We're obviously moving into December as it is, but we thought you'd keep you in the loop. I think initially this date was 22nd. This is now the 29th. I think this is the 3rd strike. I don't know if it's the 4th strike. The other one was a date where it said the 22nd. I got the other tweet up, but I'm not going to pull it up now for the sake of it. But yeah, the STJV is still having its fights with Don't Know. There's a lot of stuff going on there as well in terms of funding as well. They're trying to get for people who are going on strike. But yeah, we thought we'd wrap up and cut a couple of news pieces out because of the segments, because we've got like a lot of stuff. Adam, main topic.
The main events. The Jake
main
Paul
event.
and Mike Tyson events.
The main event. So basically, as Adam has seen in the notes as well, and it says exactly, you 2 smart asses. It's like, how do you?
Did somebody comment that?
No, it's in our drive, as I put it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was about to say, like, I saw it in the drive, and I was like, the hell? Did somebody just comment that?
My thing to Adam was, and obviously it's that, how would you fix the narrative of Double Exposure for the sequel? Because we talked about this before, and we've run our mouths non-stop about criticism. Well, I thought we'd play the devil's advocate. So how would you actually fix the game, and what would you do for the sequel? Because ultimately, for me, and my stance has been very clear about this, and I don't know if you agree with this, it's a mess, but it's fixable. And I think when it's fixable as well, I think you only have one shot to fix it, because if you made another game after it, the mess has already been like, it's done and dusted. So it's like there is a massive pile there, but it's fixable. You can cohesively make something out of this in the next game and put it back on a steady path.
Oh yeah, I got one simple change to like make sure this is good.
Yeah.
Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson is the game director.
I don't even criticize that guy anymore now compared to I gave The Last Jedi a hard time, but my god, they didn't character assassinate Luke Skywalker in the same way as they character assassinated. Yeah, but it's not me giving him kudos for it. It's still bad. Yeah. It's just not as bad as we saw in this game for a character assassination and someone. How would you fix this? Where would you go?
Well, one, putting on Ryan Johnson as game director. And two,
go on.
So if I was the game director, how would I change it?
How would you fix it? Where do we go from here? How do we fix the narrative from where we're at with the systemic issues within the game? Because my early opinion is you can scrap certain things which you don't need to acknowledge. So even like Alderman, for example, other plot points, even who shot Safi. Yeah. It's like we can kind of ignore some of these as well because it's like a sequel is going to have to set up a new story, if anything, with that. But for me, the main one, if anything else, is the Chloe Price situation. It's like that's going to be a dark cloud hanging over this franchise. And what I really don't like at the minute, and this has happened with me before, is that basically people are trivializing the comments about Chloe Price in the same way that I felt about Last of Us Part 2. Because I remember when I used to try and apply criticisms to that game, people were like, you only hate it because Joel died. I'm like, no, there's these... No, Druckmann did fantastic with it. It's unbelievable. It's 10 out of 10. Every review, a 10 out of 10 masterpiece, groundbreaking, nothing wrong with it. And I'm like, there's plot armors, there's issues here. No, you only hate it because it's Joel. Now it's the same with Chloe Price. It's like, no, Double Exposure is great. Everyone would love this game if it was played. No, it's not just Chloe. No. You only hate it because Chloe's not in it. It's like we had to preface this in the review quite a few times because there was so many systemic issues within the narrative just beyond Chloe Price.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I think you have to resolve that in a convincing manner, in an important manner, and you have to try and move on from the retconning that you did, which you did in this one, where it's like the Safi segment with the bathroom sequence, the kind of just blatant disregard of it, calling her blue-haired girl and stuff. Yes. I'm kind of like, you have to address this in a meaningful way, and that's my biggest concern, which is how you do it, if anything, because I think you can even cheapen it as well and make it a fanfic where you have like Safi meets a character that can pull a Chloe Price out of the universe. It works, man. People would eat it up. They would eat it up. Even if it sounds fan fictiony, they would eat it up. Because I think in itself, a dynamic you could try and work, which would try and respect both endings, is you yank a Chloe out of a universe which isn't Max's love interest. And that Chloe is an accompaniment of Max in the game and bounces off her. So Max kind of mourns the Chloe that she lost with this other Chloe. A little bit similar to the comics I'm going here as well, where it's like another Chloe giving you an idea. I honestly don't know. That's the weird part about this topic. I've been thinking time and time again, how do you fix the issues in this? Because in itself, for me, I think the greatest ideas they could have done is that the entire first Double Exposure was set as Safi. You were playing as Safi the entire game. And she had shapeshifted into Max, and it explains her behavior, why she's out of character. It's like Assassin's Creed 3, Haytham Kenway, Metal Gear Solid 5, Venom Snake twist. That is something you just didn't expect, and it's like, bang. Imagine the game ends, it shapeshifted back to Safi, and Safi revealed herself to be who she is. It would have, like, my jaw would have dropped. Even if it's for me, at least, it would have dropped, and I would be like, holy hell. However, we can't do that. We don't know the full extent of Safi's power because in the game it seems to suggest that Safi has to meet the person to do the shape-shifting stuff. So she doesn't really meet Chloe, even though Chloe, like, says that she has a Porsche. It's like, why do you like Safi? Yeah. It's because she has a Porsche. I don't know how you fix this personally, because you still have an option where, for example, in one of them at least, it's like Chloe could come back and she could come back to Max, if anything. Like, they're only broken apart. But I just don't think it's feasible now. I think you've written yourself into a corner. And I think the only way you could do this is do Final Fantasy-esque Emma Vicelli style comic where you merge timelines, or you start smashing two timelines and you yank a Chloe out of another universe and use her as a way to bounce off the story, where Max starts mourning things about that relationship and this Chloe is different, and it kind of gives you some kind of like understanding. She understands Max. She gives her feelings, because this is one issue that I have with the game. And I think this needs to be addressed in that next game, because otherwise the sequel will not work. And we're not even talking about Safi yet and where we go with the story and the powers and the characters. ultimately this massive dark cloud that is hanging over the franchise needs to be addressed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Are you waiting for me now?
Yeah, I was just going to run. I was like waiting for you to like get in at some point and be like,
no. Okay, so here's how. Now, are we talking about how I fix it if I was making a sequel?
yeah, or how would you lead it here? How do we go from here? They've ended with Max Caulfield return and left the narrative in like quite the mess. Where do we go from here? What are you fixing? What are you putting in there? What needs to be addressed?
Okay, you ready? I'm game director. Okay. I'm the game director. And then I would go on like Captain Phillips style. Yeah. I would go on Captain, like, I am the captain now. First and foremost, Emma Vicelli is head writer. Emma Vicelli would be absolutely, I would hire her as head writer because she understands the franchise. Now, would I like absolutely go to Michelle and ask him to what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of
Consult.
Thank you. To consult? Sure, if he has the time. But like that's the thing. Like Michelle has his own thing. If I was to say like, oh yeah, Michelle will be head writer, I don't think that would be the case. But I think if Emma Vicelli, who understands the not only the Life is Strange franchise, but we've seen in the comics that she understands this particular story, I would number one hire her as head writer. Like that would be the thing.
Okay, I'm gonna pull you up here instead. Emma is busy. She can't be involved in the game. You got the same team. I'm revising this now. It's the same team. It's Stouder in the game director role. It's Fleece Kwan in the narrative director. You are overseeing the production. You are the head creative director or something. You're the kind of you've been brought in. I'm bringing you in as the supervising director. Emma's busy, can't do it. Michelle is going to say, "No, Adam, I don't like you. Goodbye."
Okay.
You are now overseeing this production.
Miso will be head writer.
You've come in. What are you dealing with here? What plot points do you need to fix going into the next game? Or what will you drop and just leave behind? Is it the Chloe Price? Are you going to address that? Are you going to address Max? Are you going to address Safi? Where can you... I'm talking about you are strategically placed in that studio now to try and fix it within what we're working within. We can't have anything else of it.
I can't change the staffing or anything like that.
Nope. Whoever's there is there. Let's say that this team is developing the sequel, specific head for head, but you've been brought in and you can fix certain things that you feel like this needs to be addressed, this needs to be addressed, that needs to be addressed, and we can fix that thing based on what has already happened in Double Exposure.
Okay. Chloe Price remains dead. Chloe Price is dead. Yeah, absolutely. Like Chloe Price is not a thing. It should not be revised. There is nothing you can do right now with where the story is heading to seamlessly bring in Chloe. You've ruined that. You've burned the bridge. Honestly, on a story point, like let's talk about that. Like your choices are that we drifted apart, and the drifted apart on your timeline, she's an absolute like chaos. Like she doesn't really text you like a friend anymore, really. Or like she died. Oh, she died in a storm. Like it's either one of the two. Narratively speaking, it will be so clunky to bring back Chloe that at this point, no, I wouldn't bring back Chloe. Like I straight up wouldn't. Like unfortunately so. I would make
It's that kind of idea. It's like how much more of a mess can you cause when you've already caused a mess? And it's like maybe we shouldn't answer that question because it could probably.
That's what I mean,
worse.
though. It's like I'm telling you right now, as a fan and someone who is studying narrative, there's nothing good that you can do to bring back Chloe that's not absolutely clunky. So I would more of just like, hey, stick your cleats in. It's game's over. You made your bed. Now you guys sleep in it. You know, you really shat the bed, as you would say. Now you guys sleep in it. You know, so we have to really stick our heels into that to make the narrative stronger, right? We have to deal with Max's trauma. Like we have to.
I've only dealt with it in this game. Did we not deal with it in this game?
No, we didn't. We didn't deal with the trauma at all. Like we didn't even touch on it, dude. Like she's just normal. She's just a normal little gal who likes her little Polaroids and her Doc Martens. And just a normal Target gal. Why don't you? I would make this in the realm of leaning into horror. I would mean like I'm not saying like Silent Hill 2 horror. I'm talking about leaning into it, leaning on it, right? You got to have something that's kind of jarring, right?
Mhm.
So, if we were to bring back Chloe, right? We bring back Chloe in a way. Now, again, if people are in the comments like, why want my Chloe? Fine. You want your Chloe? She is merely flashbacks, right? She's merely just kind of a reflection within time, you know. If we're having this splitting timelines, right? We can have Chloe back in one of these timelines, but I don't want that. I think we need to stick our grounds that she's dead in both timelines. But I think that if we get into a reality where maybe she sees a reflection of Chloe in a mirror, I don't know. We're talking about like psychological torments onto Max, right? So that's how I kind of introduce Chloe, but leaning into the horror aspect, right? I'm thinking of. I'm trying to think of a game that's like, it's not exactly a horror, but it kind of, yeah, Alan Wake, yeah, because like that really leans into the horror. I'm thinking like a little taste of it. I'm definitely thinking of a game. I know. Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit. That really, just kind of like something messing with your brain a little bit.
There's probably quite a few. Bioshot's not full of horror.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no,
it's hard to do, but like I think there's a way we can do it that like it touches on the trauma while also, you know, kind of making it more Life is Strange, because I still want Tessa Rose Jackson to do and she has a lot of synth power in her. She can definitely do a horror game. We hear that synth playthrough in some of the levels.
Yeah.
But that's why I would do it. Now, once again, so keying up my notes, right? We deal with trauma. Chloe remains dead. Chloe, that's it. Chloe remains dead.
How would you feel about my idea where you pull a Chloe from a universe into the game? Maybe not the Chloe.
That. I would hate that.
You're not
multiverses is over, dude. Like it's just done.
Square is bringing it back. Like Max Caulfield will return.
But you're asking me to like oversee it. I would be like, no, dude, it's over. Even Marvel's like, hey, we're ending the multiverse. Like we're ending it. Marvel, like Disney, is saying, dude, Kevin Feige is like, no, it's done. People hate it. I would hate it.
But you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, for example, like the remakes and stuff. Square is hell bent on doing multiverses in that, and now we got it in Life is Strange.
Okay, if we're going to go back on Square, explain the plot to Kingdom Hearts. Go for it. Why don't you? Going back to it, I'm the creative director here. Okay, no, we're not bringing back the multiverses. Chloe's dead. She's dead. Done. You dug your heels in. Stick with it. But I would say my last points before I let you go on your rant. I would say that Safi gets humbled, right, in the story, right? I don't want to make Safi more powerful. I think I would have her seeking power. I think she would have to seek that she like, I am a god. But in a turn of events, right, that she tries to get people on her side. Like, let's say Diamond is trying to get on her side. Safi needs to be humbled in a way of just like, you are still a human being. You still bleed. You know what I mean? Like these are not powers of gods. These are curses. You know what I mean? So I think it's just in a way of just, those powers are a response to trauma, right? And a lot of people like to idolize, you know, these traumas. And I will say that. They like to say like, oh, it's this makes me who I am, blah, blah, blah. Like the trauma is just who I am. I'm saying this in a way that my dad wasn't a good person. So I can idolize trauma in a way of like, oh, look, I'm an asshole to people because my dad was an asshole to me. It's a superpower. But in the end, I am not a superhuman. In fact, people want to make me bleed. That's the thing. I would do it in a way of like that touches on the trauma. We can idolize trauma as a God-given power, or we can see it as a curse that's holding us back. And that's how it would fix the narrative. That it leans into that horror in a way that it leans into the trauma. Chloe remains dead, and Safi needs to be humbled.
Do you know what? With the trauma point, I was thinking about this as well, and I was playing it as well. These guys, whoever was working on this game, would have learned so much about teaching trauma of Max if they had, for example, played the first Metal Gear Solid game. So obviously, I'm going back to that game because that game is the third entry in the series. You have MG1, you have MG2 on the MSX home computers. Kojima puts out Metal Gear Solid on the PlayStation 1. It's its own standalone thing in terms of a story, and it's almost an entry point for people. Yet it's a direct sequel. So what it does, for example, it doesn't expect you to play the previous games.
Yeah.
But what Kojima does is really well. He bounces things off it. So, for example, in the game, there's a character, obviously Psycho Mantis, if you haven't played it, there's a character called Psycho Mantis who talks about his trauma that he has, about the fact that he killed his father. Then he's like to Snake, and he alludes to it. It's like, we share something in common, you and I. And then it's like, even with Naomi, one of the most incredible written scenes I've ever seen, a codex scene where Naomi talks about her parents being dead. And then through that, Snake has a reflection saying, he's like, I have no family. Wait, I had a man who called himself my father. And you see Snake showing exposition. So what it doesn't do is it shows all the intricate plot points of MG1 and 2. It basically uses Snake's history and projects it onto other people. So, for example, this is what I was thinking about recently, because Fleece said it, for example, on Loretta. She said that Loretta was this character that looked up to Lucas. It was like this kind of like almost Victoria Chase-esque, Maya Okada-esque character who looks up to a character. Why in Double Exposure did you not do a moment where Max interacts with Loretta, and then through that she's like, oh, she has a crush on Lucas? It reminds me of Jefferson, and you bounce it off people. So you bounce off Max's trauma off other characters, because you can basically be like, she meets Vin and she's like, oh, he's a bit pushy like Warren. He's a bit like this. He's a bit like... So you basically use other characters to bounce off surface level commentary about the character, because again, you can't just be a sequel when you want to be a sequel, Double Exposure. You can't be a standalone game when you want to be a standalone game. This is the one thing that they fail to comprehend with Double Exposure, because they disregard things. It's like, even when they had Nightmare sequence, I went back and watched it, it was like, you know, I stopped texting Warren. Or, what did Warren do to you? Why did you... I know it's a Nightmare sequence, but it makes no sense. You need to establish certain things. I've said this before. It's with Max. Max, for example, doesn't act like Max because she needs those one quippy lines where she's like, oh, Yasmin, she's like, why you call me Maxine? I'm always Max. There we go. It's little, it's nuance. It adds to the character's detail. This thing needs to be rectified in the sequel to explain some of the issues that happen in this. So her trauma, for example, use Chloe Price as a trauma. I agree with it. Use it in the mirrors. Use it in something else. Use it maybe on Safi and project it. Maybe have a scene where Safi becomes Chloe Price and torments Max. Isn't that interesting? Where she's like, then she shapeshifts. She basically becomes like the Voldemort to Harry Potter to Max Caulfield, where she basically torments her. So in itself, she dresses up. You could even use a Porsche line if you wanted to as well, and just to mock her a bit. It's like, that would be interesting if you made shape-shifting Safi into Chloe Price. It'd be like, and whether you like it or not, because of like you're shipping the two characters together and stuff, there are ways to fix this in certain places. It's like with Safi needs to be more than a Nepo baby who's lost a book deal. It's like they're doing the God thing, they're doing this and that. Safi should have just been the main freaking character of Double Exposure, and then use that as Max being the conduit to support her. Max becomes a supporting character, just as Steph becomes a supporting character for Alex. She goes from being a very minor character in Before the Storm to becoming a supporting character for Alex Chen, and doing it. Had Max to basically be Safi's mentor and be someone who could have like supported her. Then you basically see it for the optics of someone else having powers. You have no powers, because we're going into a game where Max doesn't have any powers now. She can't merge timelines. She can't rewind time. What is she doing now? Is it going to become a Safi game where you have Safi's main character? Is Diamond even going to join forces? Are they going to set the Avengers up?
Oh, wait. She just said that. I just realized that. Wait. Yeah. Do we establish that she doesn't have any powers anymore?
She doesn't. Try at the end of the game. You press the buttons. It doesn't do it. She's like the timelines have merged. She can't use the powers. She has no powers left.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I was one of the people that realized at the end of the game, you can't. She's merged timelines. She has no powers now. That's why the pods are all gone. The difficulty with that game is, barring Max Caulfield will return and Diamond having some powers, you're not setting up something that kind of like springboards this for a sequel that makes it an easier job. So this is the issue we have with the game when we're trying to figure out what the sequel is, whether it's keep Chloe alive. You're like, kill Chloe Price off. Maybe that is the right idea, because like, what are we going to achieve from this? Are you going
again, like, it's clunky if you try to bring her back. I just feel like you pooped the bed, you gotta sleep in it, you did the thing, you gotta stick your heels in, you gotta stick with it now. Like, you really gotta put your nose to the grind here. Like, that's that. I don't know, man. Like, just live with your mistakes. You know,
it's like, for me, I think about all the different possibilities. Like, for example, that entire storyline that we're breaking up Chloe Price and Max, those could have been flash forwards, flash sideways in between the game. And then we get the reveal that Chloe Price is Safi, that is shape-shifting Safi that breaks them up. That's interesting, man. We have dynamics that work off it. That game, Double Exposure, you could have set up so many different plot points. However, what you've done there is you've created a mess, and now you have to salvage it somehow create a plot point that emerges from it. So, for example, at the end of that game, Adam, we have two timelines that have merged. All the characters have most of them have two personalities merging together. Max has no powers. Safi's gone off on a god complex run. Diamond might join her. Is Diamond even evil? Does Diamond even have powers?
That's what I mean. I feel like Safi needs to be humbled from Diamond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, Diamond's just trying to figure out like what her trauma is. Yeah. And Safi gets humbled from it.
But even then as well, we have to put time in the game to explain Diamond's trauma and explain Diamond a bit more. Diamond's only a side character in this game. We're now going to be making her a bigger character in the next game. It's like that needs exposition. I honestly, I'm big questions about how you fix this game. I think it's fixable. The difficulty I'm having is I'm not Stephen King. I'm not a grade A writer who can fix something like this. It needs a very important pair of hands on it to kind of like steady the ship going forward.
You got your guy. Call me up, Tech 9. I will fight for you. I will be on those phone calls. I will write for you. Get me in. Big dog's ready, dog.
It's
Anyways,
honestly, I just because like,
do you not agree that I'm big dog?
Maybe
you have to agree that I'm big dog at least.
I think you're right about the Chloe thing as well, because there's another thing here as well that comes into play. If you do the sequel, the likelihood of the first question it's going to ask you is, did you accept Safi's offer or not? It's going to expect you to answer that, but it's not. I don't think the next game will do, did you pick Bay or Bay? Because, for example, that was this game. So this game is now going to set off on a thing of like, did you romance Vin and Amanda or both? Or did you accept or refuse Safi's offer? Because it has to springboard off that now. You can't springboard off the first Life is Strange game.
No, you can't.
It's ancient history. So I'm kind of sitting there thinking like, how do you fix this now? How do we go forward from here? Clean cut. And it's like, maybe you have to do a cheap retcon. Maybe you have to. In between everything else, maybe you have to do something that kind of appeases this.
I'm going to be honest here. You have to. You have to do a cheap retcon, because, again, there's a lot of things that happen in this game that are cheap retcons. Yeah. I'm just saying, man, you got to stick to your guns. Like, it has to stay coherent, because otherwise you're going to become the new Star Wars trilogy. It just doesn't make any sense.
We're in this phase. Because this is Force Awakens, if not.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's just like, if you don't stick your heels in, nobody's going to communicate, and that entire trilogy is just trash. You know, from 7, 8, 9, trash. This is a trash trilogy. You know, yeah.
If anything, they need to fix Max. They need Hannah Telle in the creative input. They need to use her input in this game. They need to redefine that character. If you put a board up of all the people that have handled Max, Emma, Jean-Luc, Michelle, Christian Divine, the Before the Storm team, the Double Exposure team, you kind of sit there thinking, who's made the biggest, like, who's the worst out of it? And it's clearly the Double Exposure team, because they haven't written her like Max. That's the issue of it. Even my little pedantic things aside, where I make like little criticisms, you don't address her trauma. You make so many glaring issues in this game. In the same way as Before the Storm, where people were criticizing Before the Storm's inconsistencies, Double Exposure is littered with them. From the character tones, from the character assassinations in certain characters, the way they speak, the way they do things.
Sure.
There's tons of them. You could easily pull up a wiki where it'd be like, this is a mistake, that's a mistake, that's a mistake, that's a mistake. It'd pop up there. I just don't. I'm trying to think of how you map this out because it's gone off in different directions. So it's like for me, I don't want Daniel to come back. I don't want them to touch that. I don't want them to touch Alex Chen. I'd rather them have new characters with powers.
Because again, the multiverse thing is just it's dead. It's dead.
Yeah.
Like in terms of just like,
man.
Yeah, it's dead in a way of a trend. You know, it's like trying to bring back cargo pants in 2024. It's dead. Cargo pants are dead. And unfortunately, cargo pants are dead. You know, baggy pants are coming back, and I don't know if I'm happy about that. I'm not really happy about. I like my skinny jeans. They make me feel secure. You know. All I'm saying is, I would do one thing and one thing only. 4 words. Four words. Put me in, coach. Put me in, coach. That's how I fix it. Put me in, coach.
I'll tell you what.
I'm just saying. What's up?
Let me show you then as well. This is for some insider perspective as well. You'll probably work this out yourself if you on surface level, but we'll do it from this to kind of show you what this game is like and why it's so easy for us to sit here and do this. Adam, pitch me the sequel. What are you doing first? I'm the publisher.
Okay.
You now have creative control.
Okay, Emma Vicelli is writer.
Emma is busy. She's working on other projects.
You're the publisher. You don't know that. I called Emma. No. She's like, she's busy.
Out of our budget, unfortunately, we can't.
Out of our budget, Emma is totally in budget. What are you talking about? See, this is how Deck 9. This is my take. If you hire me on, this is how my phone calls would go. What are you talking about? The budget.
Emma has done her work and she is fine with this. She's happy to move on. We can't afford the budget. That's going to have to be. What's your next step?
Okay. So wait, where am I again? Okay.
You're pitching me the sequel. Are we bringing Chloe Price back? Is that something
we're not bringing Chloe Price back.
Okay. That's fine. The focus groups all said that they didn't like Chloe anyway. We're not going to bring her back. We'll leave it.
That's a lie, but okay. We're going to go with the storyline, Adam. That the focus groups didn't want Chloe back.
No, because we did paid focus groups with people. They saw it. We saw the data. The data says no. We don't want that. What are you going to do next?
Well, we're going to bring in RFK, and RFK is going to be the head of. Okay, I'm serious, dude. I'm not serious as a heart attack. We bring in a lifeline that you play as Safi.
See, we don't like that idea. We think Safi should stay the side character. We've signed Hannah Telle onto the deal.
Yeah.
Max has been shown as more positive protagonist. We don't think Safi should be that.
You don't think so?
No, Safi is a supporting character. Is a secondary character to Max. We want to keep the focus on Max.
So you want everything to be play as Max.
Yes.
Well, can we do in a way of, and I know you're gonna love this, Adnan, because remember you are the publisher and you're not Adnan. Okay. Let's take an example from 10 out of 10, perfect game, Last of Us Part 2. Perfect game, sells numbers. Let's look at another Sony IP. And we do a change of perspective every now and again. That you go between Safi and Max. That when you try to switch timelines, you're actually switching between what Safi is dealing with and what Max is dealing with. Max being the duality of that her power is a curse and doesn't want to use it. And Safi being that she is a god and is overusing it. So that way you can meet in the middle. And because the middle is Diamond doesn't know what to make of her powers, what her trauma is. And each story is connected to Diamond. And so therefore, in the end, you will find out which side Diamond does. And all of your choices that you make as both Safi and Max will correlate with what decision that Diamond makes. Okay,
that's an interesting idea. So we like the Last of Us Part 2 idea now that we can change characters and put different perspectives.
Because Adnan's not in the room with you, right? It's just you, the publisher. No, Adnan's not there. I swear to God, if Adnan's in there, I'm going to scream. If you're lying to me.
Just the publisher. No, we like this idea, but we want Diamond to be the character that's opposite Max rather than Safi. Safi can be the conduit. Do you agree with that?
Safi can be the conduit, yeah.
But we want Diamond to be the one opposite Max in terms of the side character. So the way you just sold it there, We want Diamond to be that character rather than Safi.
Okay, so you want to change between perspectives of Max and Diamond.
Yes.
I feel like Adnan's in that room. I swear to God, if I'm on a phone call with Adnan in that room, Adnan's in that room.
That, folks, is why this topic is very difficult. Let me make it very clear.
Because Adnan was in the room the whole time. I knew it.
No, this is why the topic was suggested and the why we did it, because we can sit here as armchair pundits, me, Adam, people on the call, people in the comments, because we could all pitch the greatest ideas since sliced bread, but however, you don't own the IP, you don't own the characters, you don't own the story direction. From my own perspective, from the whispers, from the other things as well, with double exposure, this is how things play out. This is how things will map out, and it's the same with the sequel. It could be easy, as I said, it's very early in the topic where it was like, bring Chloe Price back and it's great. They like, the focus groups didn't like that.
Yeah.
And then you push back on me.
Do we really believe that the focus group said that?
Focus groups didn't like her. The data shows it. It's like, for example...
Can I see the data, please?
You can. Here's the data. We put the samples out there. We do not like Chloe. The audience has very much told us that they don't like Chloe.
Why is this data written in crayon? Why did you write it in crayon?
Well, we paid for this data. We paid for marketing research.
You paid for the crayons too?
Yep, we paid for all of it.
I swear to God, if Adam's in that room again, how do you say a crossing guard?
This proves, for example, your thing
that I have
focus
ADHD.
Groups. This proves your point about focus groups where they spoil things for people intentionally. Why, for example, in itself, one of the famous Simpsons sketches where they bring Poochie into the Itchy and Scratchy show based on a focus group. They basically, based on this, they don't go into the community to find things. This is why the topic, I intentionally did it as it was, and why it seems like I was stumbling between things to try and pitch something, and you were trying to do something else. Red tape, bureaucracy. This is what defines this project. This game, this series, everything else. Go and watch the interviews. Go and watch the other things. Square has control of the IP, the characters, the story, the direction. You could sit there and be like, well, I think, right, cool, we should bring Chloe back. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
What do you do next? Like, what do you honestly do next? You can try and justify it. You can stamp your feet. You can do whatever else. That's why the games come out the way. And I'm not doing it in a way just to completely nullify creative choices within Deck 9. This is a defense of double exposure I'm showing you, because it's like, basically, this is the game. Deck 9's like, no, we don't like this guy there. Cool. There's a developer. Bye. We'll take the contracts. We'll go somewhere else. See you later.
Yeah.
Do you think, for example, as well, here's another one. Do you really think that the Don't Nod team would make this game, for example, double exposure, storylines, plot lines? What happens if Square Enix turns around to them and says, you need to tell the story? What do you think they're going to do then?
I don't think that Don't Nod would accept that deal.
But that's why they left, didn't they? Like, in terms of the grander scheme of things. Not because of this project specifically, but that's why we talked about Gilbert's contracts before when he talked about Square Enix. They went off and did their own thing. Look at Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 2 just didn't hit the beats, did it? The way that they wanted to.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, cool. That's it. And even Michelle said, I have nothing more to tell in terms of this story. It's difficult to tell the continuation of the story. And off you go. We're going to bring Max back. And then it's like every interview, untapped potential, her trauma, But remember, guys, this is laced in red tape bureaucracy. You can sit there creating this great story, but it's as simple as that. If I'm the publisher and I own the IP and Adam's writing the character, and for example, in his script, Vince Alderman shoots Safi, I could come over to him, look over his script and be like, we don't like that idea. Vince Alderman shouldn't be shooting Safi. Can you change that? Think about what the writers have to do in the rooms when they're writing these scripts and they're changing storylines and stuff like that. It's not a complete.
And think about me on the phone with Square Enix. Have you ever listened to DMX album and how he barks?
But can you see why I'm trying to present this as well? Like, I know some people will understand this anyway and it's not some mind-blowing insider perspective, but it's to prove what the problem, the project is, because this is what's going to happen. This is why, for example, for me, there's two things that change the direction of the sequel, where we can fix things. And it's one, the publisher listens to the fan feedback online, sees their own social feeds, goes on Reddit pages, looks at that fan feedback rather than doing focus groups, etc., etc. The second is someone at Square and someone at Deck 9 pushes back in a way where it's like a creative figurehead that does it. No, but like I mean properly pushes back and puts foot down on certain things.
Has anybody? Let me ask you, Adam. Do you think anybody in history has ever barked at a Square Enix representative like DMX style?
Not until you come in there.
Exactly. We don't know if it doesn't work. Okay, it could work because no one's ever done it before. And if nobody's, I would become a trailblazer that you bark at your boss to get things done.
But can you see why I'm trying to present this in certain ways? This is why my part of my overall scheme of what this project has been, why I'm so critical of certain things, why I'm showing certain things. Because like, for example, when you said like keep Chloe Price dead, what if I turn up to you at Square Enix and say we want to bring her back? Then you have to work something out, don't you? You can't change it. You can't just do the things like we can sit here.
Again, that's where the mirrors come in. You know, like meet in the middle, but somebody has to push back and somebody has to bark.
It's that's the only thing that's going to change this. This is the only thing that's going to change it. Someone pushes back proper. That's for me the only saving grace that goes forward from here, because it's red tape, bureaucracy, nothing changes. And it's ultimately that's why we can't sit here, do the topic, be like, well, this, and it might feel like you've been cheated out at the end of this conversation, but it was intentionally done that way because I wanted to present this angle, because we could sit here, be like, bring Chloe Price back, sunshines and rainbows, Daniel stays out of the picture. They could turn around to the scriptwriters and be, well, Daniel needs to come back.
Like, do you really think you cheated me out of that end of the conversation?
A little bit.
No, I did. No, because I got you in character to admit, like, yes, we like Last of Us Part 2. We love it. So I got you to say it.
Yeah, boss. No, but this is the issue that I have with the game and stuff. I still think it's salvageable. Whichever way you take it, that's it. But it's going to be laced in this kind of situation. And I think that's my overall, like, disheartening feeling of the entire thing at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Should we move into the comment of the day?
Yeah, let's definitely do it. Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts in the comments. I think in itself, tell us what you'd actually do with the story. But again, I'm just painting you a picture of this because I've been critical of double exposure, but there's other things where I'm like, I see what's happening here. And it's not as clear cut as it is. Adam kind of cheated here. Got 2 comments as well, because I feel like one of them couldn't be left out. So the first one was from Pricefield Punk, and it said, LeBron James in Life is Strange. Ooh, give me LeBron having superpowers of never aging as he joins Max to fight Safi. Why not at this point ready for the mosh pit Shaka Bron? Might be the best, most cringe thing I've typed all week. And that's actually here as well, because Adam's saying comment of the podcast on it. And Adam does not...
I agree with that. I was like, that is not the cringiest thing. That's the most brilliant thing you've ever typed in your life. So print it out, frame it, because it's yours.
And we're going to cheat here as well, because we're putting in Sean Red 7681 as well, because I think this is an important one to address in certain things as well. And they put, hi guys, great episode as usual. Thank you for that. I think I know the exact moment, chapter 3, that Adam got stuck, because I bet he did what I did. I went into Lucas's office and looked all at the files, looked at both sides of the picture frame, put it down, left the office, wandered around for an hour like a dumbass, not knowing what to do. Finally went back to the office and looked underneath the picture frame where the key to the typewriter was. Again, I respect your opinions. I understand it, and I understand negatives towards this game. There's a lot, and they could and should have done better, but I still say it's a good game with a narrative that ends horribly. Sadly, in a narrative game, the story is one of the things you need to get right, and for the last chapter and a bit, they didn't. This is the result, which I think is an important, because that comment sums up my feelings about it. Because again, people misread what I'm saying. I don't hate this game. I don't despise this game. Mm-hmm. For me, the way that I put reactions and stuff is it's laced in disappointment. It's laced in frustration. It's laced in like different things that hold this game back. Because there are good things with the game, the soundtrack, the visuals, Hannah Telle's performance. But the narrative ultimately collapses on the game. That's the big issue of it. There are so many issues within the narrative, and that's why I brought The Last of Us thing in before. I'm not one of those people that's grounding this game into the game and being like, it's bad, bad, bad. Yeah. It's a feeling among people. Like, if our review dogged on this game the way it did, where it gave it a 2 out of 5 stars in a 10-point scale, and it has 100 likes in the video at the minute, which it does, over 100 with over 150 comments as well. What does that tell you about how people feel? We're not just shouting from the minority, if anything. It's a reflection of the game. So for me, this is a big thing. I don't hate the game. I'm not despising the game. I don't go and attack other people's opinions if they enjoy this game. And my response is, great, you enjoyed this game. I know other people who listen to the podcast said, I lowered my expectations, went into this game. I actually enjoyed it. Fantastic, great for you. But it's like there are things that need to be addressed in the game, things that need to be fixed. I did it recently with Final Fantasy 15. It turned I think 8 years old. I love Final Fantasy 15. People would read my tweets wrong because they'd be like, he hates it. Because he's like, what could have been? No, I think it's a great game. Up to the Leviathan fight. I talk to my friend all the time about it. We was saying, like, the Leviathan fight, the game is great up to that point. Then it just falls off a cliff. And it's like, that was a game that was marred in development, like a development hell. And it eventually got... The fact that we saw Final Fantasy 15 from that original story twisted and shaped in different ways blows my mind. But it's because I play it and think, what could have been? This could have been one of the greatest Final Fantasy games of all time, because you had all 4 protagonists on there. They were fantastic. There were so many great story plot points. The music was unbelievable. The visuals are great. The location is amazing. Just didn't connect. It's the same with Double Exposure. You can tell a Max story. You can carry the story on. You can carry the ending on. We've seen it in the comics. Whether you agree or not with the comics choose one thing. You just handled it poorly, if anything. And that's ultimately what it is. And I said this to Adam as well. I think, like, people say you can't give a game 1 out of 5 when it looks like this. You if I shipped Double Exposure the way that I did and I took the narrative out of the game, would you give it anything other than a 1 star? Even if it looks the way that it does, the visuals, the set pieces, no, you would give it a 1 star.
I want to clarify that you said that we have 140. We have 141 likes. The comments, you said 150.
Yeah.
We have almost 200 comments.
Yeah.
So I want to put that out there that, like, to your point, that, like, I'm scrolling through some of these comments right now, and like, it's hard, man. Like, there's somebody who says, like, I disagree with some things, you guys, but mostly agree, you know?
Fair.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, maybe I'm being a bit mean on certain things, but I have a different standard that I set myself to. Call me, like, self-righteous. Call me a self-righteous prick for saying that. But I expect a lot more from my games, a lot more into not shaping on what I want, but an expectation that sets to deliver, because you went down a route of Life is Strange that many people never thought you should in anyway, which is that you move away from anthology and you bring back the most beloved characters in the franchise, and you didn't handle it properly and correctly. That's the issue with the game. Like, I have so many things with the game where I think there are good elements, but ultimately they are marred with the game's issues. Like, people read my tweets wrong, man. They've been in my DMs, some people, where it's like, you feel this way and you feel this way, and it's like, and I'm like, but you're misreading my tweets in the way that I'm positioning them. It comes from a sense of deep frustration, difficulty, because I basically just gave you a main topic there, where at the end I gave you the entire perspective from an insider part of thing, where it's like, this is it, red tape, bureaucracy, things change. Is it as clean cut as it is? We can all sit here writing fan fiction thinking it's the greatest thing. When the publisher comes over and says, I don't like that, I don't like that, and I don't like that, and you're going to change it, what are you going to say to them? No. They will be like, okay, we're not going to support that. We're not going to have it. These are the big things of the conversation. I think it's a good comment, that, because I agree with the comment as well. I'm glad that you enjoyed the game. Glad other people enjoyed this game. I think when I replayed this game from the Arcadia Bay ending, I think I'm probably going to think, actually, this game was built for that perspective. It was built for that story, because I've seen some of the cutscenes. It works better, but it still doesn't alleviate the other problems in the game. Max's personality, her trauma, the plot points, the disjointed story, the pacing, everything. There's so many issues with this game that feels like corners were cut. If I told you the stuff that I knew about the development, it would make your head spin back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here thinking my expectations are already here based on knowing what was going to happen in the game, among many other things. When I got to it, it went like that. And when we got to chapter 4 and 5, it was like, oh god, oh god, oh god. Because I give 1 and 2 a pass. I think it's good. I think they're okay chapters. They're solid chapters. 3, I think some people are going overboard. I don't think it's a great chapter, phenomenal chapter. I see some people say it's the best, and I'm like, I don't agree with that. I think it's an okay chapter, but it's the start of the cliff edge, where you start with the Alderman stuff as well, if anything. But it's like, there are huge inherent issues, and I'm not going to gaslight something which is insulting my intelligence, because it's not that. Is this storytelling? Because if it is, I might start becoming a writer, because I genuinely think that. I think the expectations are low in terms of you can write something and people will gobble up and be like, this is a masterpiece. I had this issue with The Last of Us Part 2. People are like, oh, it's great. I'm like, isn't it funny that Ellie does the trademark Naughty Dog thing, gets thrown off 15 buildings as plot armor all the way through? But no, she can't die like that. It's like, I was sitting there with my hand in my head. I was like, oh, she's fallen through glass ceiling, and oh, this has happened, and this has happened. and it's like, you know, all the disjointed moments in the game, and you see Neil Druckmann make this game in the way that he does, and it's like missing the Bruce Straley, Amy Hennig magic, and it's like, I can see where the story is faltering here, and it's like, this is just a really poor revenge story. If just to end on this rant as well, and just go on Last of Us Part 2, you know, there's that sex scene, right, in the game that shown. Have you seen the last? Yeah. Here's my always point with it as well. If David Cage from Quantic Dream did that scene, the entire industry would mock him. But because Neil Druckmann does it, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. The medium is serious. They love the medium. It's like when Kojima does it. Oh, he's bringing child soldiers in. No, Kojima, you can't do that. You can't be doing this. It's like there's such an inherent bias towards some people, and Druckmann is one of them. And it's like, I'm going to move away from it. Last of Us is a different conversation. On the comment in the podcast, that's my perspective.
Yes. Nice.
It's just me ranting for that.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. I'm sorry, but it's like that. Does it look like I come on this podcast with you wanting to dog on this game?
Well, I mean, as a Brit, like I feel like that's in your nature.
Well, that is rich coming from an American, not to dog on things. Like you guys dog on.
Yeah, we don't dog on things. We just, like eat crappy sandwiches and just enjoy our lives.
You dog on each other because we're coming from different states. That's how much you guys.
Yeah, we dog on each other, like as people, but we don't dog on media. Like we have like the worst taste in media as a country. Yeah, let's put it that way.
That's true.
Yeah. So like, no, we don't dog on things. That's why our media is so dog crap, because us collectively as a country, we don't dog enough on things. That's what happens.
It's frustrating, man. I wanted to enjoy this game. I thought, I as I said before, a Max story could have been told. You could have told it. You could have delivered this game. You could have even told the Chloe Price story. All these things could have been dealt with. The problem is, as well, is that you had one shot to do it. Yeah. And if you can try and it takes a very great writer to fix the sequel. I would go with you bringing Emma Vicelli and being like, please steady the ship here. It's like, come in because you have some insight. You've done timelines and stuff. I would genuinely do it. Emma was brilliant for it, man. When I did the interview as well, she was saying like when she did some of the scenes, she'd rehearse them out. So she was rehearsing them out in her room, and it's like that just shows the sign of a. I'm not saying that these guys didn't do that, the Deck 90, but
I'm saying Emma Vicelli would definitely write in the ship.
That is the biggest fumble for me. The closest thing they could have got to someone really guiding the series in a direction in a certain way. I just can't believe she's in the credit as part of the Titan comic team. But I'm just like, why did you not think about taking her on? You're taking so many of her ideas in terms of like, and just a perspective thing where it's like so many of her comic ideas kind of infused in this game. But there you go, Adam. Spread the arts.
Yeah. Yes, because it's past 1 o'clock your time. So yeah. So that's why I wasn't ranting. I was like, no, it's bedtime for Adnan.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Spread the arts. What do you want to go
with? You can go first because mine's going to shock you.
I watched Smile 2 when I was in London.
Okay. Oh, we talked about this, I think, right? That you were about to see it?
Did we? Maybe.
I think you said you were thinking about seeing it.
Yeah, I was, because we recorded it before the Lost Records Journal. We watched it the night of that podcast. Yeah, I watched it. It was a very good sequel, a very worthy sequel. So the same director makes this one, and kind of like the entire idea as well with the main character. It's like I thought it was going to have almost the shades of Black Mirror, Miley Cyrus episode, and I thought, oh, this is a dangerous path. But this guy excellently navigates that. From the pop stars madness of Descent, I think that Smile is one of those few horror films that's recently emerged which can kind of stand on its own, being kind of like a horror film that's a little bit of a breakout in the new genre of horror films, where it's like, we don't have the iconic horror films, for example, but it has a niche idea which works really well.
Yeah,
they evolve it here and they do it really well, and I think by the end of the game it sets up for a very interesting third film if they go for that. But I thought a very worthy sequel to an original. There's certain issues, there's certain plot points. No Detective Vince Oldham being punched into another dimension, kind of like plot points, but there are one or two. I don't think they're plot points necessarily. I think they don't explain as well as they should be. But generally speaking, the aesthetic is beautifully shot. The camera is fantastic. I'm a huge horror fan as it is. It is one of those films that I recommend people watch if you get the chance to it. Was very impressed, and especially just from me and my brother talking about it. Me and my brother had this kind of like long history where we watched horror films and stuff, and like even during the film, like 15, 20 minutes, I kept saying to him, I was like, I think this is a very good film, and he's like, yeah, I think it's a very good film. We watched from start to finish. I was like, so yeah, nice. Guys, you actually see me enjoy something there.
Okay,
I think
because like I actually skipped it because I saw a trailer and I'm like, oh, they're gonna make it cheesier.
No.
Okay, good.
It has enough just cheesiness, like in terms of the aesthetic of it, but it's grounded, and it's very grounded. So it's like in some of the sequence, there's a fantastic sequence for me in one point of the film. I won't ruin the actual plot of it, but the camera is like positioned in the car, and it looks at the driver, and then it rotates the passenger, and then rotates back, and it does this in such an interesting way where it's like almost spinning. And I was like, that's actually really interesting that this is just like it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I thought the camera was just doing it in a really unique way in a very small, concentrated environment. I was like, that's an interesting way,
like a scene from That 70s Show.
Yeah, and I think it works in that kind of way, and it works really well with this. It's cheesiness in just the aesthetic, the way it looks sometimes, but in the actual thing, it feels grounded, and that's what makes it a very good sequel. Would recommend.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm going the opposite end. Wicked movie was fantastic. I cannot tell you enough how incredible the Wicked movie was. I'm putting this in my spread the arts just because I'm more happy for my wife, okay? Because in an age where IPs are so disrespected, right?
Yeah.
Like me and you both have seen it, you know, from Life is Strange to me to my favorite comic book characters, Moon Knight and Disney. Great. Thanks, Disney. I was so nervous because people who have been into Wicked for 20 years have been waiting for this movie for a long time. And my heart was like pounding. I'm like, dude, if they ruin this for my wife, I don't even know. I'm telling you right now, this movie absolutely 100% nails Wicked. And it translates from the Broadway play, and it translates perfectly on the big screen. Like they switch a couple songs here and there, like the order of the songs. And I'm going to tell you right now, Ariana Grande, so good. So good. Just as an actress, like she has the plot point of Glinda. She carries herself like Glinda. She doesn't come off as Ariana Grande playing Glinda. She plays Glinda. It's a very much theatrical. That the sound of the music to the set pieces, it all is very theatrical. It's all very Broadway. So I gotta recommend Wicked, man, because they nailed it, dude. So I'm happy for my wife, and I'm just happy that I got to see it because I was really nervous. But hey, if you've been waiting for the Wicked movie, I'm telling you right now, go see it in theaters because you gotta see it on the big screen, dude.
Yeah, one of my I don't know if I've ever met this. One of my favorite loves is for musicals. I'm a big musical fan, and I've seen the reviews, and they look very good as well. So it's actually quite nice to see in a refreshing way. And to kind of talk about on the podcast, to see you feel that way. It's like I've seen nothing but,
because like that's the other thing. I'm not a big musical person, and this is me. Yeah, my older cousin, and actually, yeah, it's my older cousin was like big theater person, right? We watched Cats. I've been to Broadway. I was a stage manager for 2 years in my high school, so like I was the stage manager in my high school. Yeah. My wife is a theater person. I've tried so hard to be into musicals. I just can't. Wicked, I'm telling you right now, that's the one. That is the one.
It's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah, and I'm telling you right now, the movie, that's the one.
No.
That's the one musical that if she put, because I've seen Rent. I've seen the Rent movie. And I'm like, it's all right. I've seen I'm not gonna say the new Cats. That's no, But I've seen Sound of Musical, the movie. I'm like, it's all right. Wicked, put it on anytime. I don't care. Wicked was good.
My interest in them became because of South Park, because obviously the movie Being Alone Uncut is a musical, and obviously from there, like my interest in musicals continued. And the same with, for example, the Book of Mormon, which was fantastic. And there's so many musicals that are great, like obviously West Side Story, Streetcar Named Desire. Wicked is obviously an iconic one. But no, I'm glad to hear that, because I remember one of the I enjoyed it, but there was also a bit of a disappointment with Les Mis when I watched that. And obviously,
Les Mis was.
And Halfway was fantastic, but someone needs to tell Russell Crowe as Javert, you don't need to shout and sing. I remember the review that I watched. Someone was like,
you want to know how much I love it?
How much?
Seeing it again tomorrow.
Oh, really? Hey.
Yeah, I already bought my tickets. I'm seeing it again.
Nice. No, it's good.
That's how good I love it. Yeah.
They should just put on the Wicked thing as well and deflect tagline, no Russell Crowe. It probably would have sold even more. So I don't worry, we have to read Javert shouting as well. Do you know what as well? The most brutal one was I watched a review of that Les Mis one, and when they did Les Mis, someone removed the audio and just had Russell Crowe sing. And he's like, I am Javert. And it's like he's just shouting. He's like I am Javert. And it's like, Russell. It's like, Hugh Jackman's here doing the as he's doing the melodies perfectly, and you're just shouting as Javert. And it's like, no, that's not how you do it. But yeah, let's end here as well, because we've gone for a while as well. So thank you for joining us. Let us know how you would write the sequel for Life is Strange Double Exposure. I might turn up as the big bad publisher, just the general big bad publisher in your comments, and be like, nah, we're cutting that, as I did to Adam. But no, let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know where you'd go about it. Let us know what you think as well, because obviously we pick the best comment out and we'll put it on the podcast. So even we pick one of the best podcast comments and we put it on there. But yeah, thank you for joining us. If you are new here, one more time as well, please do consider dropping subscribe to the channel, turn notifications, like the video, share with your friends, help support the channel, helps keep us up to date with the channel. And StrangeCast is available on all podcast services. We're available on Spotify with a video version, we're available on YouTube, we're Apple Podcasts, we're available on everything. So do go and check us out, rate us, download us, because you get instant access as soon as your podcast's available. So stay tuned. Obviously, the Lost Records Journal is up next, the week after. That'll be a big one, because obviously we have the reveal trailer of, not the reveal trailer, we have a new trailer of Lost Records Bloom Rage, which we will be talking about, because we're very excited for that, and it'll come up on that podcast. But do stay tuned for that. And if you're wondering as well, as Adam said as well, it's very late because I'm currently recording in the dark and Adam is recording in a little bit more of a different time, because we had to change schedules around.
It's still dark because it's daylight savings now, so.
Oh man, it's so bad here. It's like 4 o'clock, and the entire town is pitch black. It's like
3 o'clock, 4 o'clock for us too. Yeah.
I'm not a fan. But either way, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Stay tuned. Obviously, we'll be back. If you have any topic ideas, let us know in the comments as well. We're happy to explore them. We've got plenty of time, long time ahead before Max Caulfield will return. Take care, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Later.
Ready for the mosh pit, Shaka Bra.